party people. I don't know where the hell I'm going with this intro.
What is this?
Plat Valorant episode 174. I'm on 5 hours of sleep. Kurt's on 5 hours of sleep. Chober's on 5 hours of sleep. We're all on 5 hours of sleep. We got nothing going for us in our lives. Or is that just me? Am I only talking for myself? It's Plat Valorant episode 174. We must not mention the G word because we mentioned it last time. And the show, we got our channel almost taken down because we mentioned the 3D G word. Not going to mention it. Not going to speak about it. Not going to utter it.
Really good line treading we've got going on right off the rip.
But there is one G word we can talk about. Guarantees, because we were freaking on the money. I almost swore, I almost messed up. We were freaking on the money with the guarantees, the blackjack guarantees. We were popping off last week. I don't know. Do we even have evidence of these guarantees that we hit? Does
I could have put the time in and work in to do that, but no, I didn't. No,
we hit like
it never
we
happened.
Had 5, right?
We had five guarantees, and 4 of them were wrong.
Yeah,
and we may have a lot of guarantees this week as well. Spoiler alert.
We were in rare form. But we got the Pacific special for this one. We stole all of the Pacific talent for the opening of the Pacific show. We got Seth. We got Chober. We got Paper Thin. We got a whole crew. We got everybody here. Seth, what's going on? You drinking like a pint of apple juice?
Yes, that's exactly what it is. Alcohol is bad. Don't consume it. Be healthy.
He says with like 5 bottles right behind his head.
Those are that's a fine collection of rare waters and juices from around the world.
Yeah.
Did you guys all just finish work?
Yes.
Pacific was all
I had today off. I had today off. Yeah.
Actually, yeah. That's why Paper Thin sounds the happiest, because he was just watching the game while we had to sit through one drag of a match to wrap it up.
What even happened in the games? What games were today?
T1 rolled RQ.
Yeah, that's right.
That was exciting.
T1 rolled RQ, and then
ZETA kind of floundered their way past Bleed. Yeah, that was about it.
Oh, that went to 3 maps. Won't be watching that one back. That one's getting put on the avoid list. There's already
there was a yay ace in there, make the people happy. You gotta give them what they want.
Yay ace, and I also saw him dying instantly after he dashed into trying to crunch tiles. Yeah. God almighty. Anyway, let's not talk about Bleed. Let's not talk about ZETA for now. We might talk about them later.
Let's wait until after the demonetization period is gone.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Let's talk about the good things about Pacific. Let's start things off with a nice one about PaperX. Okay, are they back on top in Pacific after the win versus Gen.G? They're looking clean. Jing's come back into this roster. It's like he never left. Honestly, this team's looking nice. The style that they want to play, Jing fits in pretty picture perfectly. I know this match happened a while ago, but cast your minds back, because I'm desperately trying to find the VLR page right now so I can cast my mind back. When the hell did this match happen?
This was right at the top of the week.
So Saturday. Yeah. It was the first match of Saturday.
Feels a good game.
Will and I were casting it. Yeah, it was a really good game.
Yep.
Yeah, I thoroughly enjoy it. I mean, it's a bit one-sided, actually, now I'm looking at the maps again. But it was an awesome match, I thought. But yeah, it's very good to see PaperX back large in charge. Normally, a good host would set this up and tee it up with a question pointed at a guest. But I'm not a good host. So I'm going to leave this open to the floor, and it's a free-for-all. Whoever just talks first can talk about this match.
All right, I'll dive into this one.
Seth wins!
Woo! I did it. The way this one started, I thought that I had the correct read, because when we were talking about the return of Jing and everything earlier on a different episode, I was saying I think that PRX are going to come out, they're going to be looking hot. It was like when we were predicting them versus T1. I said that they're going to come in, there's going to be this like re-honeymoon period or something like that with Jing returning, and everything's going to look amazing, and then they're going to start to dip. And that's how it was looking on Lotus. Like, they were crushing, and then all of a sudden Texture just hit that absolutely just nutty ace, and then just completely shattered them. And I thought that, okay, well, that's it. Like, this, they lost the Lotus, they're just going to fall apart from here, and it's going to take a little bit for PaperX to kind of work themselves back up to where they were. I was so wrong. They just came right back into it in standard PaperX fashion. I'm ashamed that I didn't believe, and they just were able to clean it up. So I think a really good effort from them.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree. I think the way you put it is that, you know, they came right back into their own style is the perfect way to put it. And there's just a couple clips that I think really highlight this as well. You can just play these back to back, by the way. But like they played on the icebox. So Jing was playing the Sage. I mean, everyone's seen this, I'm sure, right?
Yeah.
They just absolutely elevate her up. Then the Jet goes out, and it's just like, you don't think of any team doing this, right? You think about setting the Jet up and people wrapping around, but then 3 people going out onto build and then pushing out of mid, like all at once, just in perfect synchronization. Like that is true Paper X. You trust the res, things like that. And then they go on to bind. And then you've got the Jing raise. And the way he's peeking alongside Forsaken, you can tell like all they needed was a week, right? Like the way they're able to just jump out in synchronization, and Jing's constantly making sure that he's creating high lows with his satchels and things like that, where they're able to just. So this is where they come in through showers. First of all, Forsaken's back using coves in kind of great ways, but also kind of missing angles. But it's okay because it works out because he's able to jump in. But then on top of that,
one of the most creative Harbor.
Yes.
Sorry to interrupt. I was going to say, like,
Yes.
he's leading the charge actually in terms of Harbor gameplay from when I was watching this match.
Absolutely. And he was one of the first ones to do it on bind as well. But you know, you see that like
Double peak, the high
flies
low double
above
peak.
with the showstopper. He uses Forsaken as a drone, but then he jumps back over perfectly in sync with Forsaken. It's just like, as Seth said, they never missed a beat. They were right back in it. And in some ways, I feel like Gen.G taking the Lotus kind of lit that fire under their ass, and now they're truly in form. And I mean, Korea's probably over again, and Paper X is probably winning the season.
That's a hell of a take. I mean, dude.
I agree.
You agree? You think it's over for the Korean
I think it's
team?
over. I think we're done. We're screwed again. I mean, these two playing together, they never stop playing ranked together. That's all they do in their free time, is they just rank together 24/7. The friggin' Jing's aunt is out there being like, they're married, and like, it's like basically true. I mean, like, they do nothing but play together. So their chemistry is insane because of it. Forsaken does nothing but, when he's not playing with Jing, sit in like a private lobby by himself and work on lineups and weird plays. I mean, it's just, they're just bizarre, but it works because they've been together for a while. They have great synergy. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if we see some of the old kind of demons of Paper X later on creep up, where they can't win, you know, back-to-back matches against you and in short amount of time and things like that. But I'm really happy about it. I'm happy they won an Icebox. They used to hate that map. They literally picked Icebox as a troll pick at the end of last year when it was about to go out of the rotation. So I'm really happy.
I will say, I think Gen.G did toss Icebox. Now that I'm being reminded of this match again, and I remember molding watching it, because the calling structure, like the calling from Munchkin on Icebox, was not good.
I agree.
Gen.G's game plan on defense side was, if Gen.G make noise somewhere on the map on their attack side, we're gonna follow it with 4 players every single round. They were just hard stacking whatever area of the map that they made noise towards. And not once did Gen.G take a pause, not even on the coach's side. Did they take a pause and take a read that they could maybe run a fake or two, or maybe, you know, pressure one area of the map while care on hard looks another area of the map and take some space. That is, Icebox is a very simple map, guys. This map needs to fucking go. It's dog shit at this point. It is a flowchart Valorant to the max. You fucking hit a site, you're on a 1-4 default, you're on a 1-1-3 default, and you hit a fucking site, and then the other team plays full retake onto A, or the other team plays full retake onto B, or occasionally they flood defend. It is the most flowcharty map you will ever see in the game, and yet somehow they still couldn't grasp that all they had to do was run a couple of fakes against this team, and they let Paper X back into this match. This should have been closed up. It should have been closed up in 2 maps, but then they let it get to bind, and then they absolutely lost the plot because Paper X ran it all the way back on that defensive side. But it was just through the most simple of game plans by Paper X, and yeah, dude. I don't know. That was a rough aspect when I was watching that. I'm not gonna. I don't want to discredit Paper X. They look larger in charge. They look largely back. But that annoyed me about watching Gen.G as well. But
I want to say, because what you just said is exactly how they used to be Paper X before, right? Especially and most teams on Icebox. So I don't think it's that they don't understand the map, but I really do think, and this is gonna sound stupid, but I really do think it's that this specific squad and Karon specifically hasn't played against the Jing version of Paper X, and you could tell that Karon was struggling a little bit in his duels, trying to figure out like how he wants to jiggle, how he wants to move. Like he didn't have that tempo that he used to have against every other player in the world. So I wonder if that's part of it, right? Like it's just
100%.
they're just getting thrown off.
It happens to every team. It happens to literally every team. Every team that plays Paper X for the first time loses. Almost everybody.
I don't know. I think that they're just not that actually good at Icebox, and they should just fucking move away from this map. Like, I genuinely we've seen them play on it so often. And like the 3 most recent times that they've played it, they've basically gotten relatively bodied. I mean, Sentinels crushed them on this map. Like they beat Loud. Oh boy, that's a big achievement. Oh, you beat RQ barely twice. You barely beat Team Secret in overtime. I don't think that this is actually a very strong map for them, and I think that they need to stop relying on it and feeling like this is like a comfortable area, because it feels like for me like ZETA on Ascent, where they get wins, but it's never convincing. And what I want to see is them getting a fucking convincing win on maps rather than always like barely scraping by. Because as teams continue to get better, like they're just they're not strong enough on this one. Like their Lotus was a surprise. I was very pleasantly surprised to see them be able to beat PRX. But again, that basically only happened because PaperX got completely shattered by texture.
No, okay. With that being said, there's no doubts that this team's going to make playoffs, right? I mean, still,
Gen.G, 100%.
Yeah, in Group Alpha. If you look at Group Alpha, they're like they're the only team that's
we might not have another fucking team from Group Alpha make playoffs.
Gen.G's the only team with meeting the minimum requirements.
Exactly.
So they're definitely making it.
Yeah, they're the only team that are currently meeting the minimum 2 win record.
But we've got T1 Opium
playoffs
now, so you know.
It might just be a bunch of teams from Omega. It genuinely might be. If T1 don't pull it together, T1 will talk about they did get their win, but I mean Bleed and GE, give it up. I mean, just give up on those teams, to be honest. That looks a little bit rough. Let's go from good to bad. Let's start flaming some teams, I think. Let's talk.
We're well
Bleed.
past the 5 minutes.
Yeah, let's talk Bleed. Are they the worst team in franchising?
Is this a good title, you think?
Are they?
I'll admit, I submitted this title.
Yes, you did.
This title.
I had no input on this title, but you can direct all your flaming at me if you are a Yaster till you die. I was supposed to be the Yaster till I die. I'm the one who's defending Bleed every single time. I can't defend them anymore. I can't do it anymore. I'm tired of making excuses for this team. There's too many chances for them that have just been slipped up now. And honestly, when I watch this team, there's too many mistakes for them to fix, I think, as well. There's a great Sliggy clip that got linked to me the other day in my stream, which was what Sliggy thought Bleed's problem was. And he's completely right. I mean, they look like they're walking out to their own funeral. Like every single time when they're playing a match, the atmosphere and the vibes are just so tense and serious. And I think it's a rough situation when you're a team that should be setting your expectations quite low, but because of or because of the fan expectations that you won Ascension, the fan expectations and maybe the expectations you place on yourself are so much more higher than what they actually should be in reality. And then when that happens, when you don't meet those expectations early, you just end up giving up. You end up falling into the pit of despair. Like your back's been broken by Bane and you must climb out while a bunch of prisoners chant at you. Like it's toast, man. It's toast early on. And you get that feeling when you watch Bleed. I mean, they just look down and out. Are they finished this year? I mean, it's the reason I say this year is because there is a second split to be played, which is that might be a fresh start. But what do we make of Bleed? Should they just give up already this year, Tobra?
Listen, today they did
that schedule.
It's not great.
Well, it's definitely not getting any better. That is for sure. But they did look better today. Granted, a big part of that is because the bar was set to oblivion, right? Like they looked non-existent before, so now they existed, therefore they were better. So yes, but also like in the post-match conference today, like even Darion and Ligia both seem to be saying, like, they agree. They're like, listen, like, no matter what we looked like before, like, we looked better, so we feel like we've improved, et cetera, et cetera. So I think there's hope for the attitude. I'm not going to say that means there's hope for the results. But I don't see the results getting much better for the year, right? Because even if you fix the attitude, and then that's when you start fixing the comms and the comps and you know, all the individual things, et cetera, which, like, you can't even start on that right now. I mean, you have this team calling a round 4 timeout, okay? Because the coach
Twice
as well, yes, and simply because the coach didn't like that they weren't sticking to the game plan in round 3, which was their bonus, right? They still had enough creds. And I mean, you can like play this back if you want to take a look at all their facial expressions, because like Ligia looks so mad during you lost a bonus. What are you so mad about? And then in the post-game conference of that match, he says it's because they had a game plan to every round search for an op, which, by the way, they just did not have creds in that round to buy an op anyway. But anyway, they were to search for the op every round and then go hit the other side because they knew the tempo of RRQ's rotation. Fine. But here's the thing. If you go back and look at their bonus round, it's like, I mean, yeah, I guess you weren't really digging deep into yellow to search for the op on yellow, but like you knew the op wasn't on A because you peeked for it and it wasn't there. So like, did they really do anything so terribly wrong that you needed to waste such a precious timeout on round 4?
What map was this?
I don't know. Sorry, what's that?
What map was it? I want to see some reactions. I want to see what you're talking about.
This would have been
it's one of the
previous
clips
Oh,
series.
even
It's one of the
easier.
clips
Thank
I gave
you.
you.
I'll click
Yes.
the link. There you go. Thank you.
Yeah, I can't actually.
It's good,
am a little
Q.
bit in disbelief at that. At the time I'm being taken to call avoid the operator as a strategy. I mean, I Bleed would thrive in 2021 Valorant. They really would. If those are the attack timeouts they're taking, like they would just thrive in that environment. But they're operating too simply. They're operating too slowly for them to stand a chance in this modern era of Valorant. You need to have no hesitation. You all need to be with the right game plan and on the right page with the decision making that you make. And they are just, it feels so lethargic when you watch this Bleed team play. I think that you can pin that down to the language barrier stuff, but which it might be. Listen, that's a valid reason for it, but it just means that ultimately, I think the ceiling in this team is it's capped. It's capped at that point. If your decision making is slow, you're never really going to be a world beater this year. You're just not.
Yeah. Well, they've got so many things stacked against them right now. I mean, they switched over to their IGL from Crazy Guy to Scary. You know, Crazy Guy's been IGLing that team for quite a while. I think years at this point. You know, leading up to their win at Ascension. So you're changing that. You're bringing in Zest, who's never probably said a word to me in English, even though I've tried a couple
English
times.
is all right, though.
It's fine. It's not bad.
He just doesn't like you.
He just, yeah, well, you know, that's. I understand, and I'm scary looking. I've had people tell me this. They're like, "You're really scary. You're intimidating." I'm like, "Really? Am I?" Like, I don't think I'm that scary at all. But
intimidating. You're very.
Thank you,
You're
Kurt.
very easy to talk to.
Yeah,
you're very
wrecked, Seth.
approachable. Look at this timeout.
Okay.
This is the timeout you were talking about, right?
What's going on?
I mean, I didn't say you were scary. I just said you didn't fucking like you.
Oh, okay.
But here's the thing, like, obviously we can say whatever we want about the timeout, which I do think there's a problem with it. But here's the thing, if Ligia legitimately believes that this timeout was necessary for the team, then the team has a problem, right? If your team needs a timeout after your bonus round loss, then the team has a problem. And Scary's just not an IGL, man. Like, he's a smart player. He's a great smokes player. And I'm sure he contributes a lot to the calls. But it's very clear that, like, even today when they won, it wasn't the overall calling that brought them the victory. You know what I mean? Like, it was the shots and it was a couple good, like, tactics here and there, some combos. But look at Ligia. He's like going at it. Like, you would think that this was, you know, they just lost the lead in like a 9-9 scoreline or something. He's just disappointed. He feels like he has heartburn after watching that previous round, and things just aren't going well. And it's only round 4.
Well,
I mean,
at what point do we just put the coaches on fraud watch then for Bleed? Because we're pointing at the players pretty consistently here. Which, listen, okay, you've chopped and changed the players quite a bit, but at what point I know there's only so much a coach can do, but I just needed a way to tie it into this to drama Tuesday, because dude, we've been digging up some posts, and there's the coaches are beefing. The international coaches are beefing. Pull up the MCE. Pull up. We're gonna get MCE to walk in through the back and just be like, pull out a metal chair at some point.
When I saw this, man, I could not. I just could not.
For the audio listeners, this is MCE, and I don't know where someone's pulled this from Twitch chat. This is Sliggy's chat.
Yeah, it's Sliggy's chat.
Once upon a time, I don't know how to say the coach's name. Ligia talked shit about a bunch of NA coaches saying we didn't know what we were doing and how we were wasting players. Coaches included were myself, James IRL, and Kaplan. RRQ looks super clean, and Bleed looks not together at all. Say the line Sliggy, all in caps from MCE. The trouble, the thing is, I'll play devil's advocate to this point that he's making, which is it's very difficult to tell when a coach is floundering or not, because we've seen quality coaches, I think, work with teams that sometimes the chemistry's off. Sometimes there's too many problems for one or two coaches to fix.
Well, I mean, let's see. We can. I have a rant about Termy later, because I think so many people on the internet are just so fucking wrong about him. It just makes me crazy. But no. I mean, I think for Bleed, real quick, I think this starts from the organizational decisions from the top down, where they're trying to make these players fit. It's like trying to put a round peg in a square hole, right? Like, it's just not quite fitting, because there's a whole bunch of issues where there's players who don't, have the greatest communication skills with each other because of a language barrier. They're coming from all over the place. I think Retla is just a placeholder until they can find somebody different. Retla played with the team 2 years ago or whatever it was, and he's just been bouncing around like tier 2,
he was
low
like one
tier
of the best
2
players today.
Well, he was. Yes, he's not bad. No, he's really good. The thing about Retla is like, at least talking to some of the other APAC talent that gave me some juice on him, is like individually he's very, very skilled, but he's just like kind of just floating around from team to team. He doesn't really care that much, and like
no, leave it like that. That was
hesitation.
I made this new button to like focus on the map, and I keep pressing it. This is not the map, obviously, because we're not showing a game, but I gotta move that button. Sorry about that.
That's funny. That's okay. We'll bring it back as a recurring bit now.
Overall, his performance it's certainly improved, because like when that first match was like, okay, he's playing an off role and looking pretty decent, and then as soon as he went back to playing Sentinel,
look at his KJ. Shit. It's like he's freaking 24 and 42.
Wow, I mean,
that's horrible.
Because the first series that they were playing, when he was going over to KJ, it looked like complete dog. It was really, really bad, and it wasn't really until today that it started looking a little bit better. The thing that frustrates me the most about this team is that it's similar to like a little bit like EG, I guess, like the thoughts around EG, where it's just like a completely different roster from from the team that made a fantastic achievement. You have the first team coming out of the Pacific Ascension, and it's fucking scary. Like, that's it.
Yeah,
Crazy guys, like, he's still listed on the roster, so there's technically two players. Like, not really. It's scary and Darian. Like, that's it. Everybody else is fucking gone, and it sucks.
And Darian's not playing the role he did last year either.
Yeah, and granted, like, yeah, sure, I get it. A couple of those players could not continue because of age, etc. That does blow. But it's like, why the fuck are we like making even more changes than like it annoys the shit out of me. Kurt, you can cue the graphic. This isn't connected to what I was talking about. This goes back to the timeouts. This got even worse today.
Does this take into account is this just the round?
This is just straight up next round. It doesn't matter. The thing that I mentioned that I would be curious to see how many of these are called ahead of an eco, and then the plan is set for the follow up buy. But I can tell you what, he didn't get a single timeout win today. I'm pretty sure, and I think that there was at least 5 timeout calls, if not 6, across the series.
Yeah, I mean, ecos are not 1-7 is a really bad record, right? Like, you would imagine one of those you'd get lucky with a sheriff shot and get a thrifty. Like, 1-7 is a rough record for timeouts, and again, like 2 of those were off of the bonus loss, right?
Yep.
So like that really starts to go to show that it's not great. But I will say this is, I mean, it's like this team is just not fair to the players for all the reasons that like Seth listed. It's also just not fair to the coach for all the same reasons. And on top of that, nobody on this roster speaks English as a first language, like including the coaching staff. Okay, so like,
Yay. Well, Ye is just he's a chamber merchant, so therefore he speaks French.
Yes,
as his
yes,
first
there
language.
you go.
well, case in point, clearly.
Ooh, fucked up your point real quick, didn't I?
Okay.
I see your point, though. There's communication issues with this team.
But okay, so what I was really focusing on in my head was really the coaching staff and like the IGLing, right? So before Crazy Guy, now Scary, et cetera, et cetera. Obviously, Ye clearly should be talking more than because he speaks English as a first language. But I mean, there's clearly some breakdown between what the coach is trying to tell them as well, right? Because it's not even like Legia's like, well, we like played our plan and it like didn't go well, right? He's like, he thinks the players didn't follow the plan, and then the players also aren't seemingly calming well amongst themselves. At the very least, I'll give you this, right? Just to clear a little bit of Legia's name for all the doubters out there, is that today in the post-match conference, he straight up said when he was asked his thoughts in the overall game, the opening question, he was like, well, I think the attacking half on Lotus was on me because I think my game plan was bad. I think we focused too much on a Robo, or I think we focused too much on the chamber only, whereas we should have really just focused on the map a lot more. So I think that's on me. So like, it's not like he thinks he's like the all-knowing guy and the players are floundering.
He's taking responsibility where he
Yes.
thinks there's responsibility
Yeah.
to be taken. Yeah, I think it might be a situation where, listen, I've never coached a team, but if I did it, I think I would have the best team in the world. And so from that perspective, from that absolutely unbelievable ego perspective, sometimes I think there's just too much to fix. For a coach and an analyst, is what I said earlier. If you know that there's communication issues, you know there's going to be language barrier stuff. If you know that there's already hesitation, if you know that you're having a problem with having a dedicated IGL, and you're already working like from the back foot in terms of you've swapped and chopped and changed around all these players, you don't have any concrete game plans or any set executes. You are literally starting from the ground up on almost every single map. That's too much to deal with. Sometimes you got to take it one step at a time. So as much as I'm critical for the freaking bonus round timeout saying avoid the operator, guys, I'm like, dude, come on, like that's not a timeout. That's just you. That's like. That's me when I'm trying to justify a paycheck. You know, I'm just like, I'm doing my job. See, I'm doing my job. No, but genuinely, it might just be that he and the coaching staff, are trying to keep the game plans relatively simple. Seth, yeah, I want to wrap this up because I'm tired of talking about Bleed.
Well, I was just going to say, I think at this point in the stage, I think that they need to just kind of treat this as a bit of a San Francisco Shock season 1 thing, to kind of go back to the Overwatch League and just make this a long-term building thing. And then who knows, maybe the next season, that's where you kind of have like a championship winning team. I'd be curious to see if that's the case. But ultimately, I think Bleed were just kind of fucked coming into this one because, like you're saying, you're trying to set up things very basically with the limited coaching staff you had, and they just stood no chance against ZETA because they have 6 fucking analysts. So
yeah,
it's just a diff of numbers right there.
Analyst diff.
Yeah, also,
analysts.
EA went 4-17 against Laz today.
Dude, Laz is a bit of a freak, though.
Yeah, Laz is pretty good at Valorant. Yeah,
and Laz got to play Chamber and EA didn't.
Yeah,
so,
that's what I mean. Dude, that is just God. Zeta Division are building around Laz's Chamber. Why don't they do it? Well, that's the question that we'll never find answered.
Been screaming for the last year and a half.
Yeah, it won't ever get answered. Let's move on. We've been talking about Bleed for far too long. Let's talk about
Zest is a god. Last thing.
Yes, Zest is still good.
Zest is still good. T1 apparently have got a new IGL again. It's just fucking goddamn, man. This team, these teams just can't settle. But yeah, they got Excurate, who's apparently IGLing now because what was it? Autumn said in post-match.
Pre-match.
He
said it on the Korean analyst desk. He said that he confirmed that this was going to be the case. And as soon as I heard the juice, I was like, I gotta get it on Twitter.
Yeah, which is interesting to me because honestly, when Carpe took over the IGLing, that's when we saw some of the most promise of T1 during the kickoff quals. And now
so that was even during AVL.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, now it's been floundering a little bit, but I was actually quite impressed with the overall calling of T1, just from a macro point of view, especially because Carpe doesn't come from a tactical shooter. Carpe comes from Overwatch. Very different games to talk about like at all from just the overall how is the game fundamentally meant to be played perspective. Like on an individual basis, whatever, you can say whatever. But yeah, but they've made the change over, and it did net them a win against a pretty tough opponent, which is, you know, they won, what, 2-0 versus RRQ. So that's impressive. I will say, I haven't watched the game because it happened 5 hours ago, I think, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was tossing and turning, barely getting any sleep at that point, so I could have watched it, but I didn't. Yeah, I mean, what do we make of this? Do you guys think that this was RRQ failing to like they weren't playing up to their potential, or do you think that this T1 right now with Xcurate calling in that match looks a lot better?
I think a lot of what RRQ had prepped going in against T1 wasn't nearly as applicable once Xcurate started calling. So one of the things that I was told, and even though this was like 6 hours ago, I genuinely don't remember who even told me this. The thing that they wanted to strive for was basically just like putting Xcurate in, because one of the biggest things that they were seeing was that he was often quite disjointed from the team, because Xcurate likes to play similar to his brother. He likes to play similar to Paper X, and like he likes to take space aggressively. He likes to play very quickly, and the rest of T1 with like cart-based calling was a little bit slower and whatnot. So he was constantly getting disconnected. So they just said, okay, fuck it. Let's just try having you call, and we will basically do what you say, and we will play to that pace. And that's what they did today. So I think RRQ was probably anticipating that they were going to be going up against a much more slower, methodical T1 that had kind of been on display in the past, and did have early success at kickoff in the AVL. And then they just got ran at, and we're just like, oh shit, like what the hell? Like we weren't prepared for this, and they just couldn't quite make the adjustments in time.
Well, and I think
It's such a good one.
So good. It's so good. I just had to.
That's so good. I think also part of it, like just watching from what was going on in the stage, already Xcurate was like the most vocal member of that team. He was the leader of that team, essentially, both like emotionally and mentally, it felt like. So it kind of seemed like a natural consequence to just say, okay, well, this isn't working with Carpe. And I mean, literally, I can remember one time, I wish I had the clip, but or like Carpe, like after a round they lose, just like slumps over in his chair like this and is like just dying. And Xcurate's like barking at him, like trying to get him back in it, trying to give them orders like a military drill sergeant, and Carpe's melting into the ground like he's the Wicked Witch of the West. Like it's just, you could see that this needed to be done, and they looked way more decisive today based on it. Like they were clearly like just, and you could hear, I think didn't Saya say it at one point during one of the replay cams where he's just like, just keep going or something like that. And
He said like, don't hesitate, don't hesitate.
Don't That's what he said. Yeah. So like that clearly in and of itself has inspired new confidence in them. And this is, like, Will, you talk about this all the time. This is a confidence-based game. It's a momentum type game, and it changed completely for them today. And I don't think that's necessarily RRQ's fault. I don't think RRQ did anything wrong. I think RRQ prepped for the wrong T1 because they didn't know.
Sure. I mean, I think that's all true. And then going back all the way to like the IGL switches, even back to the ZETA days, ZETA with an X, right? The player, and then to Carpe, and then to this. I think that was the switch. Was that ZETA? I actually loved ZETA's IGLing, right? I thought it was pretty good, but it was a very specific style. It was a very slow and steady, right? Use the util to kind of check areas of the map and be very macro focused, etc. Now, once Carpe came in, it was very skirmish based, and then they would go for fights that were advantageous using util, and then they would use rotations off of that. But the thing is when I was watching Carpe's IGLing, I always thought it was good for Pacific, but probably not for international, right? Because when you go to international, you're probably not always winning those fights. So then it's probably not going to be good because you won't even have players left to rotate. So now I think, but during all of that, we've talked about this on Plat Chat before as well. Xcurate was consistently always like, whenever T1 was kind of out of information or they were floundering, you could tell that Xcurate would push to gain information and tighten up the map. Like even before. So now that he's doing that with the entire team and he's able to command it, I think it's coming together. And I think it actually just works really well overall in the current meta, especially against the current teams in Pacific, etc. And I mean, Saya talked about it in the post-match interview as well. I think the other big thing is he's just decisive, right? He just trusts his gut. If he has a decision, he's going with it. He's telling the team to go with it. There's no flounder and there's no like, what do you think? Like they just stick with it. And I mean, hey, if your shots are good, then even if the plan is bad, sometimes it works out.
So, do we think this is enough for them to make playoffs?
That was my kind of curiosity, is just that, is this going to be sustainable for the team? And obviously we won't really know until we continue to see it developing and going. And honestly, I mean, the biggest test that they're probably going to have with this style is obviously Gen.G.
That's in
season 2. No, yeah. They only have Talon and Zeta
They
left.
only got Talon and Zeta to get.
I'm
fine.
fried. Okay.
It's okay.
Well, in that
Don't
case,
worry.
they're probably fine.
The Pacific format is the most batshit I've seen out of all of the regions, so you're fine. For some reason, some teams are playing like in the first 2 weeks all of their matches, and other teams are having it more spread out. It doesn't make sense, but. Yeah, they should make playoffs, right? I mean, if they should get a minimum 2 wins, the rest of their group is just.
If they can't get another win there, that's concerning.
They have to beat Zeta almost, right? Like you have to go in and beat Zeta. That's actually a huge match for both teams if you think about it. Zeta's kind of in a must-win position because of the way that Omega's shaping up, and T1's in a must-win position because otherwise they might not qualify for playoffs at all. Like they just actually can't. So I think that's like the most important match, maybe for like who's like that last team to get into playoffs.
They can breathe a little bit more easily now that RQ dropped the game to D1.
Dude, I just want T1. I just want Excurate IGLing against Zeta, picking the chamber into Laz's chamber and just shutting him to the ground so I can tell Wyatt that he was wrong.
Whoa.
God damn.
I mean,
Wyatt is pissed. He's probably sleeping right now, and he's just pissed. Like,
What's the beef?
Laz is the better chamber. I'm staying on that. I don't give a crap.
All it takes is one little pop-off moment from Laz to just have your tiny little world come tumbling down. I mean, he put a bit of that on display. And granted, I will admit, like the last couple outings from Laz on chamber have been a little bit wonky. But I mean, we saw the glimpses of it. Granted, you know that clutch that he had versus Bleed earlier.
I'm getting lost now. Are we talking Zeta?
Sorry.
Yeah.
I just had to. We just had to shut down Chobra for a moment.
We had to glaze
host,
Laz for a little bit. Yeah, we need to get this out of the way. We need to glaze Laz a little bit.
We'll talk about Zeta. That's a topic coming up. We're going to talk about a lot of teams. That's like after this point. But I mean, I don't want to stifle the conversation, but I do. I want to just hone it in real quick. Do we think that this T1 change, extra IGLing, is best for the long-term health of the team? Yes.
Right now, I think yes.
Yes, for this roster, yes.
Yeah, for this year.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I think just generally we're seeing a lot more teams play aggressively and find success with it. So I think that just being able to work aggression in and having a leader that can kind of guide that aggression clearly, I think that's going to be good.
Proactivity is so good, man. It throws so many teams off. Like it's the bread and butter of what made Gen.G so good.
Also, holy shit, Rossi. I don't know if we ever mentioned this on the analyst desk. I forgot to talk about it on the cast. He finally got a non-Viper win today, so that was good. And his KO was
that a storyline?
Flying.
Yes, it was a storyline because he was kind of becoming a super Viper one trick in Pacific. And then the last time he played KO, he fragged, but they didn't win. But today he was fragging and carrying like mega hard.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I mean, we'll see as well. I mean, they should make playoffs. This
isn't even funny. This is just some king
I was
shit
laughing
right
because
here.
it's like I see a selfie shot from the photo. I immediately assume that it's a meme. It's not a meme. It's him. Yo, good for Rossi.
I mean, he looks good. He looks good right now.
Listen, looking after his health, like, working out. It's important stuff. Let's talk about the mid-tier teams then. And I mean, this is the great Pacific. Who came up with this title, I don't know. It wasn't me.
This is
The Great
Chobra's.
Pacific
This
Mid-Off.
is
That's Chobra. That's good. I like that. Great British Bake Off reference. Go ahead, give you plus points for that one. Let's talk Zeta. Let's talk RQ. Let's talk Talon. Let's talk DFM because these teams are all competing. But if you pull up the Omega group, the Pacific Stage 1, like just the groups as well, you can see but all of these teams, and maybe not DFM as well, but there's a lot of teams right now in that Omega group that we've listed in this title that are all competing right now with each other.
So everyone isn't DRX and PRX.
Because let's put this in context, right? We've been mentioning it, but I don't know if there's viewers listening, they might not know. But if a team doesn't make a minimum of 2 wins, they are going to pull minimum 2 wins from the other group to make playoffs. So there's a minimum of 6 teams in the playoffs for every single region. But because this format is so scuffed, if T1 end up losing their game, if Secret end up losing their game, and only Gen.G get the minimum 2 wins in Group Alpha, that means that they will be pulling playoff teams from the Omega group. So it's actually quite a big deal in terms of the head-to-heads and the way that these teams are now going to be matching up between Zeta Division, RQ, Talon, and Detonation Focus Me. All of these teams have real chances to make it deep, or to at least make it into the playoffs, which is kind of crazy. You guys are gonna have a wacky scenario with tiebreakers, I think, occurring. Like no matter what, based on that, that just looks bizarre. It might shake out, it might even out. But
They should sort themselves without any kind of additional gameplay required for a tiebreaker. But
Yeah.
but now
that would be the worst thing. Is we're going to play a best of one to see which one of you goes to playoffs.
They should. I know that for a fact that Riot want to avoid more than anything playing additional matches to decide tiebreakers.
Oh yeah.
So I think they'll
Sure.
they'll have a contingency for it. They'll be looking at like the fucking blood type of the players to decide who's the top seed or some shit. Like I'm telling you, we won't be seeing another game. But this
Reading
players
these
are
astrology
blood type.
signs, like who's got Mercury in retrograde this week? Like you win, congrats. Like
exactly. But now is the time to talk about Zeta Division. This is who has a talking stick. Who wants to talk about Laz? Who was it?
Not me.
No. You,
Hillary Clinton.
Paper Thin?
all
Thin,
right, so
go.
here's the deal. Laz is very good sometimes. Like it's not all the
Moving
time.
on. Let's keep it going.
No,
Best
but
of
like he did look really uncomfortable on Chamber. I mean, Seth hinted at this earlier. Like even though it is kind of like he is known for this agent, right? Like he's right up there with Ye and a couple other players for being like those Chamber one tricks a couple years ago that were like carrying teams. He helped carry that Zeta team to a third place finish when nobody thought there was any chance in hell that they'd get there. And then last year in LCQ, they're just like, oh yeah, Laz plays Chamber, even though Chamber isn't like that good in this meta. He's still pretty good at this agent.
They look so
and then
good.
they freaking ran the table in LCQ, and now they're coming back, and they've only lost like I think one map where he's played Chamber, just the Sunset against who was that? The match before? God, my brain is fried too. Team Secret, thank you. That was the only one they've lost. And so like going back to that, he's got a pretty darn good win record when he's playing Chamber. Yeah, it looked scuffed against Team Secret. He did not look comfortable. His shots were off the mark. He wasn't hitting headhunters like he usually does. He was missing op shots as well. So that was very uncharacteristic of him. But then he kind of came right back into it today. So it just felt like he just needed a little bit more practice, a little bit more play time. I think he's truly almost a Chamber one trick. His killjoy's pretty good. He played really good on Ascent today. But like he's definitely, I mean, he played pretty good. Not great, but
He's not playing him this season, but I also wouldn't discredit like the flexibility that he was putting up during last season, because while it was a rough start, like he did start having good performances and things like the Sova and whatnot as time had gone on.
It looked bad at the beginning. It looked really bad.
Yeah, no, it was. I mean, it was so did Stacks, and then
True.
a couple, right at the end of kickoff, Stacks actually looked like a very
So it's hard to
confident
play.
Sova.
Yeah.
Here's the question then for Zeta Division. They currently are leading the Omega group out of the 2-1 teams, like in terms of the map differential and everything else, right?
Yes.
They've got Gen.G as an upcoming match. They've got T1 as an upcoming match. So, I mean, Gen.G,
Listen, man.
despite the fact that you guys think it's over for Korean Valorant overall, I still think Gen.G are a good team.
I never agreed with these fucks. Come on.
Hold on. I didn't say it was
I'd say
over
it was
for
over.
Valorant. I just think it's over in comparison to Paper Rex. I just
Yes. Exactly.
Okay. I'm just putting more.
And I still don't necessarily agree.
So what do you make about this upcoming match then? So they'll lose to Gen.G most likely.
Yeah, and they also missed out in buying a ticket in time to play T1 in shambles, and now they're gonna have to play T1 that's actually in form and playing as a team. So I listen, I don't think they're beating T1. If T1 plays even like 80% of today, I don't think T1's losing to Zeta.
Well, I mean,
So
I
their
think for
competition
me,
would be. Sorry, go ahead, Clint.
oh, I was just gonna say real quick. I think for me, it's just like finally Sugar Zero's coming alive. Depp had his worst day he's maybe ever had. Today, like you look at his stat line, it is garbage.
Yeah,
And,
he
like,
was playing like he had like dysentery or something. And
yeah,
just,
this
like,
is the guy who, Jesus, couldn't get his ox over the river. But like, look, I think like if they could still win.
In one map, I should say.
Yeah. If they can still win a match where he's having his worst performance, I think definitely ever in Pacific, because he was topping the charts in Pacific last year and basically every metric you can think of. That's a really good sign, because if Sugar Hero's playing well, Laz is playing well, Euron and Hyoron, they're still rookies, they're still kind of getting it together. I don't know if they could beat T1, but I still have quite a bit of faith that if they show up and those big three are playing like consistent Valorant, which has kind of been the problem, that they can absolutely beat T1 in my opinion. 100%.
They won because it was against Bleed. Just so we're very clear.
Well, but I'm saying they beat Bleed when Depp has his worst game ever.
Yes.
Like,
against the team that calls timeouts after losing a bonus.
Sure.
I don't know, dude. Look, I don't know. Right now, the way that William's talking about this, it sounds like he wants to flip the logo upside down. The last time that happened, so went fucking ape shit, dude.
Please.
I'm saying
I got something better.
All I'm saying is that T1. I could see T1 being. I could see them going into that match being cocky.
Okay.
And getting the
And they're
taste slapped out of their mouth a little bit.
chamber ace from going into the mental dumpster.
Yeah,
I agree with Paper. Look, do I think it's unlikely? And will I be predicting Zeta in that matchup? No. But is it absolutely possible that if those three players are on point?
Not again.
Oh no. Oh no, he spilled the apple juice. He spilled the apple juice.
Is he doing the bit again? What is that? I don't know if this is legit or not. I don't know if this is legit.
This time I think it's not legit. This time I think he actually.
It felt like he was making trying to make a coherent point. Okay,
He
well,
okay.
wait for
Listen,
Seth
I've got
to come
something
back.
better. I've got something
yeah,
better.
go ahead.
All right. Instead of flipping any logos upside down, Kurt, I just sent you an amazing link that has absolute proof that someone else is going to top Zeta. And if you can bring this up.
Oh, dude. Okay, I'm so glad you brought this up.
Okay, can we just take a look at their upcoming schedule? Oh,
Yeah.
they get to play against a Bleed that doesn't play as a team secret that can't really figure out how they want to play, and a GE that can't hit their shots.
These are the last matches, by the way. So for the audio listeners, we've pulled up Dead Nation, Focus Me, 1-1 in their group, bottom of their group currently, minus 14 map differential, but they have 3 matches left to play, and it's against arguably the worst teams in the opposite group. Yeah. And so there's a world here where we're focusing on the wrong Japanese team.
Yes.
I'm so glad you brought this up.
I am not convinced yet. One match against a mentally just destroyed team, I'm still not so sure. I didn't like what I saw.
So sure on what? On Detonation?
DFM. On DFM, yeah. I mean, like, okay. Look, I popped off after their win.
Hello?
And Kurt, oh, you're back. Okay, good timing.
I've never had an internet outage in this apartment, and that's the first one ever. And this was not a bit. This was not me trying to like do the fucking DRX thing last time.
Last time. Okay.
I don't know. It just dips, but whatever.
Okay.
I'm going to bring you up to speed real quick, Seth. We're talking about DFM as the actual Japanese team to look at. They're 1-1, bottom of the group, but their next 3 matches are against the bottom of the table on the opposite side. And Clint's taking away. Clint has the floor. Clint has the talking stick.
So just real quick, Kurt, I sent you a link of my reaction after DFM won their match there. And, we had a little bit of a pop off on the desk, and then I might have got a little bit.
You might have ever been
excited
approaching the Riot store.
So I did go out and I made a friend, and I have an apology to make to the plushies. So we have a little bro now.
What do you think he tastes like?
A little bro.
Yes.
Are we gonna?
That's a question that we proposed last episode. If you were to eat
If
Wingman,
you were to eat Wingman?
no, ethically, he's made out of. He's not.
Is he a lizard?
He's kind of living, but he's not. He just rematerializes out of energy. So you could ethically consume him.
Is he
How
like a
would you
lizard-based
prepare it?
creature?
Well, I don't know. What do you think his texture would be like? What do you think he would taste like?
Probably like eating like snake or something, I would guess. I don't
Snake?
know, like crocodile maybe. I don't know, like something kind of stringy.
I was gonna say.
Yeah,
When
Amy,
you shoot him, he turns into goop.
I was gonna say. I was gonna say frog's legs.
There you go. Yeah. That's
I've never had
that's
frogs.
similar to what I was going with.
What's the
they're good.
texture like?
Not great.
I like them.
Granted, so
they're
I didn't have them grilled. I had them in hot pot in Shanghai. And
I haven't done it that way.
Boiled is
Grilled is good.
not fantastic. The flavor is fine. It's just the texture is just fucking awful.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, see, I thought, I mean, I would eat Wingman grilled. I would eat Wingman grilled.
But he's
personally.
gooping through your grill grates. How are you going to eat that?
No, I'm assuming that it's like if you don't.
That
pierce
is. Let me just say that was
like
a
an egg?
brand new fucking sentence. No one has said that in their life. Gooping through your grill grates has never been stated before in human history.
I'm proud of that one, I guess.
I think as long as you don't pierce the membrane of Wingman, the goop won't get anywhere, and you can have a nice like.
You have to treat it like an egg yolk.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was just thinking,
like an egg yolk. It'll harden a little bit. I think if you have him grilled, slice him up, you could, and then you just eat him, rematerialize him. He comes back, 250 credits, however much it costs, and then you got another one. You're good. You're good.
Wingman could solve world hunger then.
Yeah, arguably Gecko is not doing enough. Gecko could be out there solving world hunger, but instead he's shooting people and fighting against another planet's like themselves. Like they're not really doing enough here for the
Anyway,
world.
so I think that DFM look really good overall.
Yeah, let's talk.
And May's an incredible duelist. He's
the whole team.
He's just going crazy. If they just have a day where like everybody else plays to even like 50% of May's level, they could probably beat anybody in the region.
So
yeah.
So what do we think of these odds then of DFM as a team? So again, putting into context of the
I think your ass is safe as far as them topping the group. That's not going to happen.
Yeah, they're not going to. Yeah, my ass is safe. Josh's house is safe as well, which is good.
Yes.
Those bets are probably not going to be made. But their competition is these other teams in their group. RRQ have got to play against Gen.G. ZETA have got to play against
Gen.G and T1.
Yeah, Gen.G and T1.
Gen.G and T1. Talon have got to play against T1, Team Secret, and that's it.
Yeah.
So arguably, maybe Talon is a competition. It's just very difficult to call, to be honest.
Talon actually does have a shot. Yeah, you're right, because the Team Secret Talon one, it's really going to depend on how both teams look when that match happens. But I just have this weird inkling that the third team of Group Omega is going to come down to either DFM or RRQ, but it's all going to depend on whether RRQ can finally beat Gen.G or not in their last match of the stage.
How many times did they play Gen.G now?
So you think that ZETA will be not in the range?
I don't think so.
It looks
so for me,
right?
I kind of truly believe that all you need to do is make top 4 because I think that we might send maximum 2 teams out of Alpha.
Okay. Actually,
well, that just depends. T1 and ZETA. It all comes down to that match again, right? Like whoever wins that one.
The T1
if
match
T1
is
loses,
very,
then
very
it's over.
important.
Yeah,
it's
then you're taking
important.
4.
So,
yeah.
Well,
that brings
T1
us
can beat
nicely.
Talon.
That's true.
I mean,
almost certainly do.
You know what's crazy is that how many teams get out of Alpha might actually depend on Talon, right? Because they have to play out against both T1 and Team Secret.
Yeah.
So Talon might just ruin dreams and then peace out of here in stage 1 and then come back in stage 2.
Just boom, fade out.
those matches are going to be. Are we predicting any of them? I don't think so. I don't think we did any of them in our week 3 match predictions. But I do want to move on to that as well because we're approaching the hour mark and I'm losing my track on reality. So let's get into the Pacific Match 3 week 3 match predictions.
Oh no.
And I don't know. Do we want to open up with the viewer pred?
Yeah, let's do that.
Little Timmy?
Sure.
Yeah,
let's see
little
what
Timmy.
Timmy's got going on.
Dude, Timmy has been popping off. I'm not gonna lie, we need to get the viewers on the show because you guys last week predicted PaperX versus Gen.G. 55% of the votes you guys had PaperX. And that puts you at a nice and easy 4-1 record,
That's
little Timmy.
crazy.
Round of applause, little Timmy. You guys are popping off. You have a better record. The inverse of the Plat chat guarantees right now, by the way. I will say, you guys are smarter than us. Why are you watching us? Don't know. Not too sure, actually. We're still trying to work that one out. But let's get into the predictions.
We
of
make promises to
this week in
blow
Pacific.
up houses and get tattoos on asses.
Exactly. And it's Gen.G versus DRX to lead the battle of the 2 Korean teams that are right at the tip of the top of their tables. Let's have a look and see where we put these 2 teams.
No way.
Oh, you.
Oh, I saved us.
You saved us.
Oh, I saved us. For the audio listeners, I have gone for DRX. The rest of them have gone Gen.G, and there's sighs of relief that we haven't hit the guarantee.
See, I have the inverse feeling where you didn't save us, but that's for a different reason.
Oh,
granted,
you're trying to do the same thing as before?
No. I'm not gonna change my pred. I mean, it wouldn't matter anyway. I would need you to change yours.
You were trying to hit the guarantees to the DRX one.
No, it just I do think that Gen.G win this match. It just feels weird not shilling for DRX. It's like a foreign concept to me at this point. Every time I find myself not just going hard in the paint for that team. I mean, I'm a Pacific shill now, you know. But I'm just going for who I think will genuinely win.
I'll start and say my piece on this one. I went with DRX as a bit of a punt here. I think Gen.G should be the favorites. It should have been a Plat guarantee. I should have probably predicted them. But DRX haven't been showing anything flashy. All they've been doing is solidifying their roles with Bane. We haven't really talked DRX much, actually, up until this point in this entire hour. But I'll say my piece. The roles have really been solidified with Bane playing now the smokes role and Mako moving over to the Viper and actually putting Foxy9 onto a Sentinel. I think I'll reiterate all the same points as before, but it's put a tether and a leash now onto Foxy9, and he's limited. Whereas when he was playing Duelist, he had free reign, he was playing so fluid. The rest of his team couldn't keep up. When he's playing Viper, it's quite a complicated agent. It's a very important one as well. You need somebody who plays it really well in this current meta game. And he was struggling a little bit with that. But these new roles make so much sense. Mako takes over on Viper. He still takes over on any smokes, but he takes over on that role. And I think that DRX actually play a very, very standard style because they don't have any preset ideas right now. They play 3-1-1, 4-1 defaults all the time, very slow. Sometimes they increase the tempo, they condition really slow, and then they take a timeout and then they'll go really fast after it. But they play very, very slow and standard, and they just wait to see what the reaction is. Gen.G, on the other hand, are an incredibly proactive team. They like to get proactive on the defense. I think if Gen.G don't prep adequately, and there's nothing you can really counter-strike what DRX are doing. They just play very, very slowly. If Gen.G just try to run the same sort of game plans and they don't adapt over the course of the series, I think DRX's slower style will just absorb any of that proactivity and punish right now with how they're playing. I think there's a real shot that DRX might end up winning this. That's the argument I'm holding. Now, still, Gen.G should be the favorites on paper, but I think there's a world where the stylistic matchup actually works out in DRX's favor, which is crazy to say considering how doomer we all were about DRX at the beginning of the year for good reasons, to be honest, because they looked like they were just trolling.
I'm really curious to see how Bane puts up with the level of aggression that he's likely to see versus Gen.G. That's been I think my biggest quandary coming into this one, because I think that everybody else pretty much at this point can absolutely prove it. But this was a really difficult prediction for me, surprisingly, because the more that I thought about it, I was like, DRX just actually do look really good. Like Buzz in that series versus T1 looking absolutely incredible. I mean, that was Foxy's worst performance, and it just didn't fucking matter because like Mako was playing like pristine, like I'm going the top 3 at Istanbul Mako that we had in 2020. It was just
holding it down.
Gorgeous performance from Mako the whole way throughout in that series. Stacks as well, getting back to being a bit more of a fragging IGL. It was just overall stellar to watch the team play in this set. And that's what this right here is what made me think like, God damn, like they might just be able to do it. But I also feel like they were playing against a T1 that was very disjointed. This is where they were kind of like going through the, you know, post this match. This is exactly when T1 said like, okay, I think we're going to, practice for X-Gear to call. Like, I think that this is what we're going to do in the next matchup. This was kind of the straw that broke that camel's back. So I think that T1 were a little bit disjointed, but DRX still looked incredibly clean. For me, this is like a 55-45, maybe a 60-40 at the maximum in favor of Gen.G. But I think that it's right there. It's a very slim margin. I think the DRX absolutely could win it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was really tough for me too. I'm in the same boat because the more I thought about it, the more I started leaning towards DRX. But what really held me back at the end of the day was if you're also looking at like 1-to-1 power levels, I think most of it is pretty similar. But while Foxy9 has been playing overall well, I just think Meteor's so much more impactful on the Sentinel and much more reliable as well. And I think that's where there would be a pretty big difference in kind of a 1-to-1 comparison. Now, obviously, if DRX decides to target Meteor, then things could change very drastically because they're very good at that. They're very good at picking one person to basically pick on and then just really ruin their day with set plays. So that could happen. But yeah, I mean, I think it's anyone who chooses Gen.G, I think it's mostly that you're going for known value versus unknown value, right? Like DRX is obviously looking much better than anyone expected, et cetera, et cetera. I do also just want to put out there, this has nothing to do with my prediction, but there is a also banger story here between the OG Academy new recruit, young talent of Bane, now going up against the very new guy, never really went through an amateur team of Charon. Obviously not exactly the same roles, but there's that as well.
Oh, Battle of the Rookies. My rookies, yeah.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up if you didn't, Will. I think that's a really interesting storyline in there. I don't put the odds quite as favorably. I mean, guys, this team got second at Madrid.
You didn't want to hear that at all, man.
I got to go like 70-30 Gen.G here. Like, I don't even think this is... He did it again. Well, he just pieced out after I dunked on him.
Discord. He's
something's going on with him. Yeah. No, I mean, like... I think Gen.G has to be pretty heavy favorites here. I think they've shown that they can be adaptive when they need to. Yeah, they maybe didn't, give it their all in their last match, but I don't see how this doesn't stack up. Well, no, I think DRX will push them. They might even take a map. I wouldn't be surprised if they take a map. But I think, like, pound for pound, this team's just way too good. I think Charon's quite a bit better than Bane if you're talking into those, like, secondary lines where things start falling apart at the front. Like, let's say Buzz and Texture are going pretty even back and forth with each other. And when you start, like, kind of peeling those onion layers back, right now Charon is way more battle tested and already was showing way better stuff on way bigger stages. Nothing against Bane. I think he has a lot of potential. We've seen a little bit of him here and there, but I think there's just too much going on in this Gen.G team right now, and their weakest link may be Lakia, and he looked pretty darn good recently. So I'm not super concerned here for Gen.G. I think it should be a pretty easy 2-0, maybe a 2-1.
Oh, it's also Lakia versus DRX. Oh, it's gonna be so good.
Lakia is gonna be John at he was John at DFM. So
yeah, dude. Yeah, he was picking on the little guys. That was kind of messed up from the Challengers Japan days. But you do you.
Yeah, it was a little weird, but yeah, okay, man.
I'm looking forward to this match. This is gonna be a good one. This is in the sea of absolute ball flattening matches that we've had to watch. This is gonna be a good one. I mean, I thoroughly enjoyed the Gen.G Paper X match, so I hope this one's up there as well. Let's move on to the next one, which was Detonation Focus Me versus Bleed, the match of the century between two of these teams, except...
Oh, no.
No surprises, though, really. Come on. I mean, I don't know why I'm so fucking shocked. Viewers, you can probably guess, we've all gone DFM, audio listeners. We've all gone DFM with this one. I think this makes... total sense. I mean, if you've been listening to us yap on the show about Bleed, and you've been listening to us yap about Detonation Focus Me on the various, actually, we did have some Detonation Focus Me doubt.
Yeah, that's me.
Earlier.
Even though I really like them, I do have a little bit of doubt. I don't think they're as good as ZETA, but I think they're not bad. I think they're better than Bleed. I think they're better than GE. They might be better than Talon. I don't know, but I don't.
Do you think this is a guarantee?
No. No, God, no. I could definitely see Bleed just like catching fire and winning here. Like, because if May isn't popping off, then they're screwed. There's nothing behind it, and that's really concerning especially for a team that's been playing together for quite a while. A lot of these guys have been on the Crazy Raccoon roster together for quite some time in Tier 2 Japanese. Also, this leads me to weird thoughts about how good is Tier 2 Japanese scene really. But anyway, yeah, okay, he's back. Anyway, look. I think DFM is like probably slight favorites here, but I have no doubt that if Bleed just kind of like catches fire, like a couple of their players hit their true potential, then forget it. And if May is off, then it's over.
I just think this.
Fuck! I just looked at what we've done.
Yeah. So
welcome.
The
welcome to reality.
The picture's been taken. It was quite funny because you were just missing from it.
Well, that's good. I have plausible deniability. I had nothing to do with this.
Do you think this is a guarantee, though, Seth? That's the question I just proposed to Clint. Do you think this one is just a slam dunk? I believe just they're done.
I mean, look, they showed improvements today, but the biggest thing for me is that like we are in such a fairly like Ray centric meta, and right now like EA's Ray is just it's not there, whereas Maze is a fucking world beater Rays. I think that there are weaknesses that are exploitable for DFM. I think that we need to see some step up performances from some of the other players. Neth especially, I think, is one that needs to have like a really firm hold when it comes down to playing Sentinel for the squad. But I think that May is just gonna fucking destroy. I don't know. I think that this is it a guarantee? No, but it's pretty close to one in my opinion. Ooh, yep, there we go.
Had to make sure he couldn't get away with it.
We look so smug. That just caught us at the worst possible time. We're just so certain that DFM are going to win. Okay, Choba, anything else to say on this, or you were?
I think it's a guarantee.
Yeah, you think it's a guarantee? Okay.
Yeah, no, I think their default. I think DFM's defaults are still good. I think their defaults were still good against Gen.G. They just once it didn't work, they didn't have the depth for it. So, and then Bleed just waits for the opponents to make mistakes. But like May, if they're doing that, May's gonna run them over. IMO.
My biggest concern for DFM is that they looked incredible and they had a really good idea about everything T1 wanted to do. Every single idea T1 had, I think that DFM had an incredible read on it. The thing that concerns me for DFM is that I think that Bleed has no fucking clue what they want to do, so they can read nothing. and then they're going to maybe stumble in that regard. But no, I digress. I think that they are going to be fine here.
Okay, all right, let's move on to the next one. Global Esports versus RRQ as another match here. I got a feeling, I got a feeling. And it is the case. We've all got RRQ. We've all got RRQ. I'm sorry, RRQ fans. Yeah, I mean, Will, you've got a bit of a history of this team with predding
What have I
RRQ.
done? I've all RQ pilled everyone.
You did this to
do
yourself.
this.
You did this to yourself.
You straight up said that you weren't predding them anymore.
No, the promise with the coaching staff was I'm not predding them on the mainstream anymore. And look at where that got me today. I finally got a prediction right on the mainstream at the cost of RQ losing to T1. So I don't know how I feel about that. But
Fair point.
Listen, I mean, sure. First of all, T1 looked just incredible today. And while, RQ, some of the old weaknesses showed, GE, I've talked about this before. I actually think GE has really good ideas. I think they come in with some really good reads. I think they prep really well, and I think their calls are very good. But just not a single one of them connect into a solid round win. Whether it's like shots whiffing, whether it's this utility kind of not lining up, and until that happens for the first time, it's just really hard to trust that it's going to happen in the next one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then again, you did also predict DFM last year multiple times, so.
Ooh, we haven't really spoke about global esports that much, to be honest. Mainly because
No, we
there
actually
hasn't been that
skipped
much
them
to
in
talk
our
about.
opening week predictions episode for whatever reason.
Yeah, there hasn't been much to talk about with this global esports squad. But there's some doubt creeping in here. We don't expect this to be a guarantee. Is this just because RRQ's recent performance looked pretty tragic against T1?
Oh, no, I think that this is pretty close to guarantee.
Okay.
Yeah, I think this is pretty much.
I think that I agree that I think that Global have shown some decent ideas. I think that they're really limited in their map pool at the moment, and the coaching staff and like Polvi and whatnot, they've been going into the press conferences and talking about it quite a lot, and they find that it's really frustrating that they set things up really well for themselves in practice, and they feel like they are able to have really clean practice. They're able to put up really good performances and then just not necessarily translate that onto the stage, or they start off really well and then something goes wrong and then things just kind of start to spiral out of control and whatnot. Like Global could, they could achieve a decent amount. It's just, it hasn't really been coming together. Whereas I think RRQ widely was just caught off guard by a completely different play style from T1.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anything else to add
I
there,
also
Clint?
just want to give a big shout
sorry, go
out
ahead.
to both Lightning Fast and Russ, right? I think they've been fragging.
Yeah.
I mean, Lightning Fast has been absolutely
crazy good.
fragging. And the way he plays is how everyone else is playing in the current meta, right? Like very proactive, clearing corners ahead of time, pre-firing everything. So like clearly there's some ideas that are happening within the team. It's just not
Look at his
connecting with
Sage
everyone.
versus Talon. Like his Sage performance,
it's
and then
just bonkers.
and then that Breeze as well. He was putting up some amazing.
Yeah, I mean,
performances.
overall in that game, like he was putting up numbers for sure. So
I don't know what it is. You get him on Sage and he just lights up. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah. And then Russ
G-
too.
Yeah, Russ had a good game.
G have the same issue that I was just describing, kind of bleed with, which is the fan expectations and the expectations of this team that are being leveled against them. It should never have been this high with this iteration of the roster. They've really thrown together some known quantities and some unknown quantities, and honestly, this would be the expected result for me, is like how they've been doing so far. Like they've been having some close map wins against good teams when the competition's gone up, but this team was never really destined to win too much. But yeah, I mean, it's nice that the individuals popping off. I know Russ was the ire of the community for quite some time when this guy was coming into the roster. I mean, some of the takes I was reading were ludicrous.
Fuck the community. Let's be real. Like there have been. No, genuinely though, like I've seen some fucking despicable shit. Colby tweeted about it.
Sure.
Like these guys are already feeling down on themselves, and some of the things that have been said to them should just never be uttered to anybody else.
Yeah.
So if you find yourself in that fucking moment, go fucking pet a dog, touch some grass, hug your mother, find a fucking hobby that you truly care about, and stay the fuck off the internet. For crying out loud, like saying shit like that, it's fucking despicable. You should be ashamed of yourselves. Go fuck yourself, and I love you, and have a good day.
Okay, yeah.
Preach.
They
Yeah.
just,
No.
dude. I don't even know what I don't want to see. I don't want to see the comments. I don't want to know what they were.
Oh,
You've got
no.
me curious.
Yeah, I looked
though,
at
by
his
saying
Twitter. You don't want
despicable
to see the comments.
No.
I can't even show
You
it
don't
on
wanna see
stream.
No,
Yeah,
you don't want
It
to
can
see
be
it.
summed
okay.
up with 3 letters in a sequence.
shit. Right. Okay. So okay.
Yeah.
So we'll wait for that side of the internet to grow a bit of empathy, which will probably happen in about 10 years when they go from the age of 14 to 24 and the frontal lobe develops. But we'll move on to the last predator yet of the Pacific matches, which
Oh my
is
God.
Team Secret versus DFM.
Surely
This
not.
is a tough one. DFM have got a couple of matches in a row here because of this. Oh!
I've never been happier for a DFM doubter in 2024.
Clint is the only one who's gone Team Secret. We dodge it. We're dodging the guarantee. Clint, take us away. The floor is yours.
I mean, so I think in general, like, I love May. I think he's an amazing player, and that's where my DFM hope stops. Like, if he isn't, again, I talked about this earlier, like, if he isn't running people over, I see decent stuff from the other players from time to time, but they're not getting it consistently. And I think Team Secret showed me some stuff that they can game plan pretty well. I think they've learned their lesson with not having Jesse play anything but Sova. So, I mean, the tough thing is if you're playing Split or Lotus against them, right? Like, what are you going to do as Team Secret? I mean, you have tough choices, but I think I saw like good adaptations, good game plan when they had their heads on straight. You know, they really looked pretty good, and Envy and Jeremy kind of starting to pick up pace. I mean, Envy's always good, but Jeremy kind of getting it together a little bit. NDG starting to look comfortable again. I think just pound for pound, this is a better team. I think they have smarter brains currently in the game. I'm not saying anything bad about Estelle or Melifovia or any of the DFM coaching staff or anything like that or their IGL, but I just think there's so much experience behind Team Secret right now as well. I think they've just got probably like a 8 to 10% edge.
This is a bizarre one because Josh has been trying to keep track of the teams that are having to play back to back in their weeks, right? So that they can't prep effectively. But both of these teams, Team Secret and DFM, are playing back to back matches in this week. They're both playing 2 matches in the week.
And Secret's fucked.
Yeah,
Oh,
Secret are
then they're
playing
actually-
PaperX
oh,
and they're
no.
playing DFM. So I was almost on board as well with everything you're saying, just because of that narrative as well, where you talk about the preparation that these teams might have to do. But look at this, they've got PaperX and DFM to prep for, and then DFM are also prepping for 2 teams, which is okay. Arguably, bleed into Team Secret. It's a bit of a diff there. There is a bit of a diff there, but still, the double prep does take a toll. I think we've kind of seen that made manifest a little bit in that it's some of the teams that would otherwise be quote unquote Plat chat guarantees haven't quite been guaranteed.
You know, but if Secret's smart about it, it really looks like you really only need one more win to make playoffs right now, all right? So just skip the PaperX game.
So I was just thinking the same thing. I was like, if Secret want to really like meta game this, just don't even prep for PaperX. Just
play it out.
Just play it. Just suffer through it, whatever. Like, just play the match and then just full prep for DFM if you want to be able to get that win.
There's a world. There is a world.
Okay, well, that pretty much does it for Pacific, I believe. Yeah, it just disappeared after run a show, so we must be done. That just threw me for a loop. I was like, are we talking EMEA? No, we're not talking EMEA. Thank you very much, Seth. William Chobra, you're joining us still, actually. You're not going anywhere.
He's in for the long haul.
Yeah, Clint, thank you very much for joining us. I know you guys.
The guy with the day off is the one who's also fucking off with me.
Yeah, Clint it was his day off. Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you for your insight. Yeah, you've. I was going to say you've opened my eyes to new experiences, but honestly, my opinions haven't changed that much. They just, I'm still quite. I don't know. I'm sticking with the dumb takes that I've got here. But thank you very much for joining us. I think we're going to take a break and we're going to get the EMEA guests in and get started with it.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
5 minutes to do something.
All right, I'm going to go get some
Go
water.
potty.
No, I actually don't need to go
do that.
potty. But that's a good
Can you
idea. I'm
tell
going to make
everyone
another
you're
cup of
talking
tea.
about
That's what
during the pre-show?
we were talking about in the pre-show, yeah, but
no, it was before the
um,
pre-show. It was the
yeah,
secret
before
talk.
we went live.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm gonna make a cup of tea
All right.
because I need to be on my A game. I'm no longer hosting the EMEA section. I need to actually talk about
Oh,
it.
yeah.
See you, paper then.
Bye. Oh, dude, what happened in
Buenos
EMEA?
dias.
Hello, Mimi.
Hello.
Hello, Mimi. One moment. I got to turn you up. And there we go. I cranked your volume a little bit.
Are you guys excited for some Europe, Middle East, North Africa?
Yes.
I
Are
am
you?
very excited.
I'm so excited for some Europe, Middle East, North Africa.
I'll be right back.
Or is it just Africa? No. That was
Sorry
intense.
about
That was really intense.
That was so
Holy shit.
loud.
Yeah, guys, we're about to start EMEA after this. It's gonna be an epic match.
That scared me. Let's do a different song. Oh, this one's also scary.
Hello, hello.
Hey, what's up, Sliggy? Welcome.
Sligward.
Yo,
Sligward.
That's his full name.
that's true. Steven Sigurd Liggy.
Kurt, this is beautiful.
Dude, I only listen to copyright-free music. That's a little fun fact that people don't know. Like, when I'm at the gym, I'm listening to this.
That's true. Yep.
Sorry about that. I'm back now. What's up? Everybody here?
Welcome back, Kurt.
Yo, I think so.
Welcome back.
Sorry to keep you
Remnant?
waiting. Is Wilkinson Jr. Wilkinson 2 here? His friend
I don't think
here?
we have Wilkinson Jr.
Ah,
Damn shame. We'll miss him.
there he is. Brent is taking
Well,
a dumper.
He's gone.
Yeah.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi. Plat chat. Valorant. Sliggy. Hello. You're here
Hello.
now. I'm here now. William Chobra is still here now. Is that your
Yeah.
full name?
No, William Cho is no. My last name is Chobra. What?
It is your full name. Interesting.
Sure.
I love that for you. All right, we're gonna talk about some EMEA when Bremnen gets back. Sliggy, how's life in the big city?
Yeah, it's alright. Going alright. It's been a lot of games. I mean, do you know what? This week is the big one. It's Super Week coming up, right? For Americas.
It is.
That's gonna be a lot of games.
It's gonna be 5 days in a
What's-
row of Valorant,
What's
I
going on?
think.
Yeah.
Welcome back, Bren.
Too much Valorant. There's too much Valorant going on.
Not
Less
enough.
games. Less games this year, please.
This year.
And he's
Yeah,
right.
less games, please.
Okay.
Actually, what if we had like the same amount or more games, but instead of in like 5 months, we used the whole year?
Oh, you spread
or
it out a
most
little
of
bit?
it?
No, that's
I feel
crazy.
like that might be smart.
That's madness.
I
No,
feel
people
like
would
that-
lose interest. That's crazy.
How could they? I mean, if they don't have 6 months to sit and do nothing, then how are they going to enjoy the game?
That's true. That's very true.
Anyways, we're going to talk about Europe. You like Europe, Bren?
You know, it's okay. It's I used to like Europe a lot, and then
What changed?
What changed? Just the food in most places in Europe, not very good. Not very good.
I feel
Some
like
places pretty
Europeans
good.
love like gray.
Gray? No, it's beige.
Gray,
Beige is what they like.
same color.
Beige,
Like-
beige food. Like it's like
British
very
food?
fried food with not much spice in it. I feel like, and
Yeah.
I'm not just talking Britain. Like, listen, British people don't have a leg to stand on with this one. I agree. British food sucks. It's not good.
No, but it's like pretty universal. The Germans,
I feel like-
they love beige.
Yeah,
the
I feel like a lot
Spanish.
of food is just.
I was
not-
actually
love
surprised.
German food.
What?
I mean, well, like sauerkraut and like a good brat. You know what I mean? Like, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's very
that's-
simple. Yeah, you
that's
know, they
good, but,
bring out
like-
the ingredients. You know, they stay true
wait,
to the
what
ingredients.
did you call it, Bren? You
What?
just the German food that you think is really good.
Sauerkraut and a brat.
You said
Bratwurst?
brat the first
I
time,
said
and you know
brat,
what
yeah.
man doesn't love a brat?
Dude, yeah. That one's for you guys. That one's for you guys.
Yeah, but is there any European country that doesn't have beige?
What do you mean,
What do
beige?
you mean? Like in
It's in
terms
just
of
the
food?
colour.
Like the food, beige. Spanish food, there's a lot of beige, a lot of potatoes. Sliggy, you can look at the screen if this is helpful. Maybe that's beige right there.
Yeah, I know what beige is, but we've been so bored.
Italian food has a lot of beige. With
No,
like
it's still
pasta and stuff.
beige.
It's got a lot
But
of
it's,
red.
but it's got a lot
and-
of it's a lot of red, a lot of flavor to it. You know,
Yeah.
they're incorporating a lot of the stuff that they, you know, for good.
What
good
is French food?
couple of centuries? What is French food?
What did they eat there? What happened? Yeah, a screenshot of the map of France circled. What happens here?
Well-
I'm seeing a lot of beige still.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah,
lot
I
of
mean, it's a lot
beige.
of beige, but what are
I
you saying?
think
You want
they-
artificial coloring and stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. Like
Okay.
this.
Ah, that's more like it.
Isn't this what the French president is named? Oh, his name is Macron, and this is a macaroon.
I don't
Well,
really
we've successfully
know.
pissed off every European country to start
Yeah,
this
we nailed
segment.
it.
I don't know.
So welcome, guys. Fellow beige enjoyers, let's get into the matches from this week. Vitality. They're from France. They love some beige. And they've just taken home a pretty big win here against Heretics, guys. 2-1 victory. Super close games back and forth. And my question for you, is this the big upset? Are we worried about Team Heretics? Is this going to be the turning point for Vitality? Or did they play Breeze and flip an upset on one map and it was a close game?
I think this match was way closer than it seems on paper. If you just look at all of this, because I think Vitality won 5 out of 6 pistol rounds, which already sets them up good, nice and proper, right? And they won a lot of eco rounds, But when you actually look at the gun round differential between the two teams, they were pretty even, and you saw that when you watched the game as well. I think that it was the tiny moments like that made a difference for Vitality in this match here, where more so than anything else. And yeah, winning the pistol rounds was so key for them. Really massive. Just starting in that already with like a positive economy bonus at the start of almost every half of every map you've played is just such a huge advantage. That I think. Okay, cast some doubt onto Heretics. Vitality played pretty well, but I'm not counting Heretics out after this match. You know what I mean? I'm just like, I'm happy that Vitality are finally playing up to a pretty good level, as well as a team that they're a top team in EMEA, because we were kind of waiting for them to show up. We already expected them to be one of those teams that was almost competing in like the top 4 spot, I think, in EMEA. But this is good evidence of it as well. But I don't think you should be counting out Heretics.
Yeah, I'm just looking at it as like a plus for Vitality, really. Like what you said with the 5 pistols, that's always. I mean, you're meant to win if you win 5 out of 6 pistols. Yeah. And then even if I look at the map that they lost, like they had a lot of good stuff. Like their retake util was cool. We had like I think they used the same molly for their retake over towards A, and they managed to get a kill 3 times. Like so, they're pretty well drilled. I feel like they have a lot of good stuff. I felt like a lot of their mid-rounding was good as well, which I think is a great sign. And I'm hearing that in scrims, these guys are like banging people out. So it's nice that they actually are performing to that level. So I'm kind of excited. Dude, EMEA, there's 6 teams that can just beat each other at the moment. And I think it's just like, dude, it's really exciting.
I was I was so worried about EMEA watching kickoff because I really felt like the mid-tier teams were like, there's a lot of guys on fraud watch here. But I feel like so many of these teams that were in that middle of the pack that had really poor performances in kickoff have really turned things around, some of them having small roster changes and then coming into the main event and just looking so much improved that I feel like right now there's a pretty good argument to be made that EMEA is the most competitive region at like that kind of like upper half.
Yeah, no, I would agree. I think the one thing for me is I agree that I think the focus in that match is like Vitality seems to be going in the direction people were hoping, et cetera, et cetera. That's all great. But I also think that maybe it was a little bit of proof that Heretics isn't quite going to cut it to be like the top unless they really improve in things like the mid-routing, et cetera, right? I just felt like there could have been like it felt like they were still relying on the things that we've known that they were good at, right? And to be able to pull through, which is fine. Like it's kind of similar to, let's say, if you're comparing to Pacific, like DRX always getting, like top 4 or top 6 in the world. Like, yeah, that's great. And it's good. Like you're very good at what you do, but you're not quite cutting the next level of improvement and adaptation quick enough. So I think if you're a Team Heretics fan, I think it's probably like, okay, it's clear that there's some things that we want to do if we really want to continue to always make masters and champions, etc. But it's not like a doom and gloom situation at all.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. I'm just excited for all of these teams. I'm excited for when Heretics actually get like their full roster as well. I think that's good. I can't see like anything bad from them. I still feel like they're pulling out crazy results considering it is a stand-in. So I'm kind of on board that like this is a strong team.
Sure.
I think in terms of competitive, it is the most competitive of who the hell is going to win, and then like America's is kind of close. But if we describe competitive as who has the most teams that can win, like international events, I think EMEA might be nearer the bottom, like really in terms of that. Yeah, I think so. I'm seeing too many sloppy maps for me to feel confident. I've kind of rate like Americas has the most teams that can win an international, then Pacific, and then EMEA until I see like more dominant maps.
I feel like that's kind of the trade-off though. If you have one of these regions like EMEA where your like top 6 teams are like constantly like win trading back and forth and having these like kind of week-to-week differences in performance and back-to-back matches, it's a lot harder to kind of see and find that like dominant team that's like clear that this squad has potential to go and do something. Like you don't have like your NRG or your like Sentinels to the same extent yet. But for me, I do feel like there's a lot of teams in EMEA that most of these top teams, if they went to an international event, I would be like pretty excited about. Like would be a team like almost how we considered like Heretics in first Masters of the year, where they're like an exciting team who has a lot of potential, who like could go on a run if they get the ball rolling.
Yeah. Go on a run. Go on a run. I'm trying to cast my mind back to this match that we watched with the Vitality Heretics game, because it happened like almost a week ago.
I mean, if to maybe just give you have a question. This is the second game now for Trex in Vitality after they didn't have him in kickoff. How have we felt about Trex in the roster? Has that been a big boom for Vitality?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it didn't really. I don't know. I genuinely don't know. I was trying to cast my mind back to the Icebox game as well, because for me that should be a map with the comp that Heretics were playing that they should have been confident on. I think, because when you think about Heretics and what they do so well, which is refighting for map control, and they're running the double flash comp, it should be a lock-in, right? A lock-in. But I think the issue for them, well, is that they were just running they're running a very slow version of the comp where they don't have like a jet to try and actually capitalize off of a lot of the util they were running. So I've just completely derailed your Trex question, mainly because I've got nothing to add to it.
That's fine.
Yeah, but
You've made your point.
Yeah, I
and I'll never forgive you.
You'll never forgive me?
No. So now
Okay,
I
I'm
must
sorry.
ask Stephen Liggy what he thinks of Trex.
The Trex, okay, I mean this in the nicest way possible. I think he's underperforming still. I don't think we've seen like the best of him. More because I've seen what he has done to like teams that I've coached in the past. I know how like the level that he can reach. I think this is like a very
You have some trauma from
average...
Guild Trex
Dude,
dominating you guys.
they used to bang us out in practice. They really did. so yeah, I'm expecting like I want to see those levels. It's like a good start from this guy, but I know this guy can be way better than I saw in this. So I think that's also good for the team as well. I don't think that this is like them at their peak by any means. So I feel like they have more to give.
Are we worried about Heretics at all?
No.
This doesn't change the
No.
calculus on like expectations of like
Are they
being...
going to have issues with subs again, like moving deeper into the season?
I mean, in theory, Woot flies in for this, but I haven't heard anything.
Didn't he say he's not playing?
Oh, really? That
I
might
think he
be
said
it.
it's very likely that he's not playing, but like it might happen. I don't know. My dates are getting mixed up, but I feel like
choose
the
to
latest
believe-
update was that it's very
Where did I
it's
see this?
that
Yeah.
he's probably flying in, but maybe not, like barely not in time for the
So I made it up.
Hold on.
I don't know if I can find a source. I'm like, I'm off the source right now. I don't know. Maybe I dreamt it. But yeah,
I choose to believe that like Woot actually getting to play with this roster is like the government doing something. They're like, it's going to happen. There's been a delay. We've pushed it back. It's going to happen.
okay.
We pushed it back. It's like
I thought I was going in a different direction.
It's an infrastructure bill that's been passed. They have the funding, but there's like 17 studies that have to be finished before the project is shovel ready. And I'm convinced that it's going to be like 19 years before he actually plays with the roster.
okay.
He'll be
See,
47.
when you
He'll be a
mentioned
haggard
the government
veteran.
was involved, I thought you were going to
You
start
thought I
talking
was
about
gonna say it's a conspiracy.
theories.
yeah.
Yes.
No.
But you went full infrastructure pill,
Yeah.
which took me off guard. Yeah. But
Just
I
after
should have
tax
expected
day.
that.
This is the happiest Plat Chat episode of the year. Right after tax day, baby.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think this is particularly the worst thing in the world for Heretics, but I do think it's a little bit concerning that they ended up losing Icebox with a comp that should be tailored towards their strengths, which is just how often they refight. But maybe that's just the fact that they have Minibu playing the KO.
Sure.
And so normally he's the impetus, he's the spearhead, he's the guy who's taken advantage of all the space that they create for him. But with that comp, it's so slowed down that normally you'd expect like the Sage maybe to be doing it, and I wasn't really seeing that too much on the defense side, which normally would be a major strength for them. I don't know.
Okay.
Maybe Icebox is a bit of a weakness for them, but I still expect them to be a good team, I think.
So overall, positive sign for Vitality. Team has some potential, and Heretics we don't seem too worried. So why don't we move on to the next match that was pretty interesting in this one. cNed, my goat. This was the other big upset of the week in EMEA, with Foot taking down KC 2-1. Both of the EMEA representatives to Masters Madrid now losing out early here in the main event.
Yeah, and yeah, it's okay. I'm gonna start with cNed. I'm gonna start with some of the good stuff.
Let's start positive.
Okay,
What's good for Foot?
positive. What's good for Foot is cNed with freedom is an absolute beast. Like they let him have pure freedom. Like I'm seeing him lurk when probably he shouldn't be lurking. I'm seeing him just push when maybe he shouldn't be pushing. But it's like if he wins more rounds than he loses, then let's go for it. Like the guy's super talented, and he seems to actually have like a good read for like just sudden timings in the game. So I think just letting him have freedom, something that Navi 100% didn't do. I feel like he had no freedom, and obviously Angel had the freedom. So I like that he has a lot of freedom and he can just do what he wants. And he's fragging heavy, and he looks more comfortable. So it feels like the happiest that I've kind of seen him visually in terms of like the actual vibes, and I think that's important for him. And obviously he can kind of just speak his actual language as well. So I'm happy with watching them. They're doing some weird comps, I'm not gonna lie, but it's winning. Their Lotus comp is interesting.
Can I ask what's up with the Sage? They played Sage on both maps here. On Lotus in particular is the one that struck me as especially weird.
They were running cracks on Gecko on Lotus before, which I didn't like that much. Like they were leaning away from like cracks the KO1 trick, and it wasn't looking that good. But this seems to be a better iteration. Like if you don't want to run him on the KO on Lotus, fair enough.
They won the game against Karmine Corp with no initiator on Lotus. How does that happen?
They got 9 attack rounds though.
Yeah. How does that happen?
I'm just like looking at the 9 attack rounds, and I'm watching K-Corp, and I'm like, how are you guys just not talking about what this comp can't do? Like I'm actually pretty down on K-Corp after watching this in terms of mid-rounding. I felt like the mid-rounding was non-existent, and when they got thrown a curveball, game plan was just not here. Like we used to do something in Liquid. You look at a comp, what can it not do? Let's try and do that. And it felt like that conversation was not had. Just here's a bunch of map control. You guys can walk wherever you want to walk. And it's like, guys,
like with the Rubble fight, for example.
Yeah, dude, they went Rubble on like round 4 or something, and then they just stopped ever since there.
Yeah,
and
it's that was they did not highlight the weakness of that comp, which is no initiator. They're going to struggle to fight Rubble off the rip. Should be able to take control of that one really easily to make a mid-rounder nice and easy. But yeah, it was that was struggle. Now that you reminded me of that, that was difficult to watch. That was difficult to watch.
Yeah, it was. No, it really was. I was losing my mind.
Yeah. I don't know. Did they say anything in post-match interviews about like this game in particular, like what went wrong for them?
I'm not entirely sure. What I kind of want to know is like, is Foot going to play the Sage against other teams, or was this literally just for K-Corp? Because K-Corp are very heavy, like retake over towards C. So obviously you go and C have this wall, and it messes up their retakes.
Yeah.
And then obviously they give a lot of map control all the time, and on attack when they like commit with map control, they don't have someone B a lot of the time, so they can pivot back into B. So they normally just take map control and then site hit, like what I just call ranked play. So they're essentially using something that is perfect against that. So I wonder if it was like just a one-off pick against K-Corp, or if it's an actual thing that they want moving forward. But I thought it worked really well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I feel like they're going to stick with it. I feel like Foot generally has always done that, right? They'll come up with something that kind of suits what they're looking for initially, and then they just run with it until it eventually doesn't work.
They have a tendency to just find their like niche identity, and then just be like, "This is us." They're the one guy who doesn't care what other people think. Their self-confidence is so high, and I love that for him.
Yeah, no, I love that, but is that going to last very long? I don't know.
Josh brought up a good point on the last episode, which was he's trying to pay close attention to teams that have to prep double in a week.
Sure.
Which doesn't make sense to do for Pacific because the schedule is chalked, but for EMEA, it does make a lot more sense because usually there's just one team, right, that's playing double in a week. And that week was Karmine Corp. Like, you can make maybe an argument that they weren't as ready for... to be honest,
but you're second against Gentlemen. Surely you're prepping for Foot when you're playing Foot first.
But it's the Gentlemates game. That's like the French rivalry. That's like your rival org.
One of them is French.
But it's the rival org.
Do you think their owner? Do you think he walked in and he's like, "Boys, you must prep for the how do you say Gentlemates?" I don't think that's what he sounds like. And furthering that all of Europe hates me.
Yeah, you're really doubling down today.
Yeah, I thought they're not going to be coming into the match being like, "Oh, we're only going to solely focus on Gentlemates." But I do think it splits up your prep time, and we know how important that is for a team like Karmine Corp. Like the coaching staff does a lot for this team.
Just real quick.
They really do.
Also, j'aime la France, c'est ma maison, ma ville, Paris est la meilleure ville du monde. J'adore la France. Merci beaucoup. Allez les Bleus! Continue.
Je n'adore pas français. Je déteste français. Je mangeais un pantalon orange. Boom. Seal up the French segment. I don't know what I just said.
You say
you
you
s-
just
I eat
detest,
the
I
orange
hate
pants.
France.
I
You know what I'm
France.
saying?
Yeah,
Pretty sure that's not
I'll
gonna
even
work
it out
well.
again. I'll get Europe to hate us again. Don't worry, Karmine Corp. No, j'adore Karmine Corp. Je déteste Paris. Which I think they would agree with. I think they would agree. I don't know if maybe not the Parisians, but I think they would
Aren't
agree
they?
with me.
Isn't the org based in Paris?
Probably. Yeah,
I'm just
probably.
assuming.
Yeah, I don't
Wild
know.
If
guess.
you tell me I was gonna have to take a French exam to join the EMEA segment today, I was not ready for this.
Ooh, what
Nouveau
the hell are we looking
classiques.
at? What is this?
Ooh.
Voile
This-
collection.
This is their merch. Why are we looking at their
You know,
merch?
I mean, it looks clean.
pandering.
I was going to their
We
site
did
to see if they're based in France, but got distracted by
Ah.
their
Well, they
merch.
are based in France, I think. Anyways, Foot. Are they making playoffs?
Maybe. Like, I mean, they should be, to be honest.
Yeah.
At
They're
this
2-0
rate, like,
already. They just have to
playoffs?
maintain their placement.
Yeah, just playoffs. Yeah, are they making Shanghai? I don't know, dude. I don't actually want to make a prediction of who makes Shanghai out of these, but I feel like
Yeah,
we have a
it's so
set
hard.
6 teams.
Could Foot? What are the? Give me the chances. I want all three of you to give me like the percentage for or against that Foot makes Shanghai. How realistic is it at this point?
I give you 25.
That low?
25. I give you a 50.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking of
We
50.
got 6
There's
teams.
3 teams that make
Three
it
teams.
to Shanghai.
Simple maths, is it not?
Six.
I mean-
Yeah, 6
Wait,
teams.
hold on.
3 teams that make it.
Okay, okay. Now I don't want to do 50 because that
Well,
suddenly
actually,
makes it sound
It
really.
depends if they finish. It depends if they finish top of their group, which I think they won't because I think Navi will take it.
But I think they'll
But-
be second in their group.
No,
If they finish second in their group, it's 25%. If they're first, it's 50-50.
what?
What?
Because you skip it's one less match to play if you're first in your group.
Oh,
I
Yeah.
You get
see.
a buy.
no,
I think.
I don't know. I kind of lean like very slightly, which is why I was originally going to say 50. But now that we're talking about the whole 6 teams and 3 teams going, then that sounds boring. So I guess I'll give 55. But it's obviously like
throwing
Slee said,
numbers
it's not EMEA right now is just you can't really call definitively, right? Like within the top like 6 teams.
Yeah.
So it's tough.
Well, presumably they would play against teams in their own group. That's the way they would
Yeah.
seed it. They wouldn't make them play against the alpha teams.
Oh, yeah.
So they're playing against Navi or Heretics, which I think would be difficult matches for them. Assuming those are the teams that would be.
But there
in their
does have
playoff
to be
group.
a cross-match game. I wonder if like top seed one
Unless-
side plays low
unless they
seed
get
the
number
other.
1 seed,
I don't know.
right? Unless they get wait, what do you mean?
I have no idea how it's going to work, and I was lying, and I'm going to not do that anymore.
Yeah, you lost it in that one. I was like, wait, what?
I would assume that the number 2, number 3 seeds out of the
Yeah.
playoffs of each group would play each other.
Yeah.
Because
that
they
makes sense.
haven't played. Like it doesn't make sense to seed them against teams that they've been playing against all season.
Yeah.
And then it's just
In
like
my
2-on-2 cross group.
Yeah.
But then
Yeah.
it's a knockout round from the get go. So
God, who the hell knows? I mean, it's just
But wait, don't the top
There's
seeds
too
get
much
seeded
Valorant.
deeper in the bracket?
yeah. The top teams get
first
seeded,
seed.
but
Gotcha.
they get a bye.
It's just
a little bit deeper.
2v3 into the top.
Yeah, 2v3, 2v3. Winners of those play against someone.
probably your own group first seed, probably at least up
Probably.
to that first round. Yeah.
You know, we could do research and like see what the format is, but instead
Have
we're
they-
just
have they
gonna
announced
make
it?
shit up for 5 minutes.
I don't think they've announced it. There's no info anywhere. It's
No,
just
they
blank.
haven't announced it officially. It's probably somewhere in the rule books.
Streets? Are you talking?
Streets, are you there?
Streets?
Is the Streets with us in the room right now?
Is this streets in the room?
Wait, is there a riot admin in the room right now to correct us? No, I don't know. I think yeah, we're throwing numbers out. I think that they have a difficult task, to be honest, because I would argue that their group maybe not the most competitive actually. I don't know.
I mean,
It's hard. Both those matches are really difficult. It's so hard to call it. If you were to ask me to predict like Foot versus Navi or Foot versus Heretics, that would be so difficult to call. And that's the most likely scenario of who they're going to be up against. So
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. I 25. I stick with 25. 25%.
I'm gonna give them a solid 40.
Okay.
I think
I
it's
feel like I really do feel like we're just saying numbers.
we are. Oh,
We don't know the format. We
absolutely.
don't know who they're going to play against. We're just saying numbers.
Well, we've said the numbers, and now let's move on. Let's move on to the next segment for EMEA. Navi, are they the goats? They're 2-0. They just picked up a win over Team Liquid. 2-1 fashion
God.
there. Angel, this is one of the end games. This is one of the feed games a little bit, or kind of more like one of like the mid games. But they still owned. Xiao had a good performance. They popped off. They brought this one home. Is Navi back?
This was such a painful game to watch.
Yeah, look at this, bro.
I'm just gonna say it.
Yeah.
This was such a painful game to watch. I tuned in, Sliggy, to your stream watching this after we predded Navi. All of us did, and I'm seeing them like 10-1 down on the second map, and it's map point, series point for Liquid, and I'm like, God, it's just over. There's another guarantee. We would have been 5 out of 5. The guarantee's wrong.
Yeah, it was a shocking
Unless
week.
Navi ended up running back. And then they ran it all. It's like I don't even know what the turning point was for when I was watching this, but it just felt like they decided to remember that they were better. And they were just so much more confident and aggressive. The tempo switch up was insane from Navi from that point onwards into the series. From this point onwards into the series, essentially when they got to the second half of split.
I actually feel like if you are like getting shit on so hard that you're down 10-1, you just a switch flips in your head, and you're just like, okay, we've already lost this series. Time to just go demon mode and just do crazy shit and be confident and fight them. And sometimes that is enough to just like go crazy and build that momentum.
Yeah, I felt like Liquid, and they'd seen some of the games where Liquid had like kind of failed on defense a little bit. Every single game I watched Liquid's split defense is like one of the big reasons they lose this game. So I think they kind of had confidence going into that. Oh man, I mean, I kind of talked about this like 5 months ago when the team was formed, just being like, the main thing with this team at the moment is like they're essentially just proven chokers, and then this was like the best possible example of it. So it's not like,
what's the opposite of a
it's
choker?
unexpected.
A
Performer.
chokey?
Yeah, I mean,
Someone who makes others choke.
so I don't know. I mean, just someone with a wide neck so they don't choke too often. You know what I mean? Like the food just goes down easy. That's an interesting question to prompt to me when I've had 5 hours sleep. Yeah.
Someone who hasn't had 5 hours sleep, please talk about this team. Me and Brett are both. I got off a red-eye flight, had like a 2-hour nap, and then I'm here.
I don't think any of us have slept well,
Yeah,
even on this
not much
section,
better.
right?
Yeah, much better.
Yeah.
Who's the voice of
Oh,
reason?
struggling. No one right now.
Tell me
We need a
expectations
well-rested
for the rest of the
individual.
season for Navi.
I think they're really good. I thought after week 1 they were really good. I thought they played the best Valorant in EMEA. And after this, I would say that's not the case because honestly, like, I don't know, they did win. They did win, but they were kind of out of it for the beginning of the series. I felt like they weren't playing like themselves when I was just watching secondhand. I didn't pay close attention to it, but it didn't look good. I was definitely checked out by a certain point when it just looked like they were going to lose, and then the switch flipped, like you said, and then they ended up winning. But I'm still pretty high up on the team overall. I think that they have all the traits that I think are necessary to win in this game right now, which is you call a good macro game, your players fundamentally play off each other really well and make good decisions with no hesitation, and you stop trolling with the comps, which the comps can get a little bit wacky every now and then for Navi, but I think they still have a lot of ideas, and they definitely showcase that they put a lot of thought and time into the comps that they play, which is good. That's way different from last year. So in my mind, they're going to be a top team in the EMEA, I think, this year, 100%. They should be going to international events. I would have them as this is the crazy take, I guess, given how stacked the EMEA is, but I would have them as the favorites to make Shanghai out of EMEA.
I don't think that's that unreasonable.
To make Shanghai. Yeah.
Yeah, to make top 3. Like, out of all
but
of the teams.
you're not saying they're favorites to be the best team in EMEA and dominate everyone else. You're saying they're a favorite to be one of 3 teams.
Yeah, they're
I
like
don't think that's a hot take at all.
I think I am saying that they're the favorites for EMEA. If I'm saying
To
that
like
they're
win
the
the
most
whole
likely to make Shanghai.
the whole darn thing.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's a likely outcome right now from what I'm seeing of this Navi team. They've got confidence, they can aim, they play off each other super well, they work maps amazingly on their attack side, honestly. Better than most teams that play slow. They just have a really firm understanding of what they need to do on a given round. They look strong. They look really good.
Yeah, I don't think it's a wild take from what we've seen. That's the thing, and that's where I'm at. It's like we've seen pretty good stuff. It could be any of the 6 teams, and I think if you were like, you have to make a decision, I think I would probably go along with that. Maybe I would be saying that Heretics with Woot might be able to steal it, but until I see like something different from like Fnatic or anyone else, I agree. I think they maybe look the most confident. I still think that up until like, I still think the split in the first map were pretty high level, to be honest, and then the last map was just like a blowout, just because Liquid were just done mentally. So I still think that what I'm seeing from them is still pretty high level. So I'm not against saying that I'm kind of have them as, at least at the moment, favorites, but that can change in a week. Like that could change in one game. That's the thing with this, it just changed so fast. I'll see one round and I'll be like, oh, okay, or like one half of it and I'm out.
How different a tale would you guys be spinning because Split, they won 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. They won 10 rounds in a row. They lost one, and then they won round 24. If they lost round 24, they went down 2-0, a fake comeback, 11-13 loss. Would you be this high on them? Is this too reactive, or is this real?
I would not be as
Yeah,
I
it's
wouldn't be
reactive.
as high, right? Because that's what also allowed us to see the third map, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, probably it'd more be the case of like, okay, yeah, it's a fake comeback, like the mechanics are there, et cetera, et cetera. But then I think we would focus on the first half, right? So tail would be different.
I think it would just pry open a question of the strength of the map pool and their ideas of how to.
Is that question not still there, even though they won?
Yeah, probably, but they won, so I'm not thinking about it.
Exactly that.
Yeah, I think it's still there.
And that's the crux of this podcast.
Yeah,
There it is, people.
Reacting to the wins, reacting to the losses. This team good, this team bad. Boils it down to that. No,
we did a chat.
I think there's questions about that because it was, yeah. I mean, goddamn, yeah. Their defense sides need some work, at least on Split, 100% with that comp and how they were playing it. Their attack side has always been good for Na'Vi. I think they work the map, and a map like Split as well, it suits them so damn well in terms of the way that they play.
4 rounds on Lotus attack, first map.
Okay, well, yeah, yes. They also, but look at the comp that they're playing on that map.
Yeah.
They are playing.
that comp is.
That is a
weird one.
crazy defense.
That comp is a weird one. This is
say
what they used in
I don't even know.
LCQ, right?
Yeah.
And even back then, I was like, I have no idea where I sit on this comp. And then now I've seen it like 4 times. I'm at exactly the same spot where I'm like, I have no idea what I think about this comp. Like sometimes it looks good and it all clicks, and sometimes it just looks horrendous.
Yeah.
So I have no idea.
I do think we'll get the proof quickly because they do have a pretty good strength of schedule. They play Karmine Corp tomorrow, and then after that they play BBL, whatever. But their final map of the group stage is going to be against Fnatic. So they play 2 of the teams who should be in the conversation to be like. I feel like those are the 3 teams that, at least if you were to look at the beginning of the season, would be the squads in conversation to be the top squad in EMEA. So I think we're going to really have the opportunity for Navi to prove themselves these next few weeks.
I'd agree.
All right. Well, with that, let's move on to our predictions for EMEA. Number 1, France. We love them. They love beige. It's Gentlemates versus Fnatic.
Yeah.
I mean, yep. Unsurprisingly, all 4 of us have predicted Fnatic. Surely this is not another guarantee that gets lost, right,
This
guys?
feels a little bit shaky, no? Given last week, after what we talked about with the top teams.
Bren, you're traumatized by the Plat chat guarantee. This is the most honest to God guarantee. You cannot tell me that we should be predicting Gentlemates over Fnatic. That's not real.
No.
Not real. It can't hurt me.
No. Yeah, we shouldn't be.
Okay,
think
what?
this one-
Give
I
me
think this
the
one we
case
should
why.
be.
Why are you hesitant?
Yeah, I agree. This
Because
week
we've
we
been
should
wrong
be.
a lot.
Yeah, but that shouldn't change anything.
You're right.
It
If I look at
shouldn't
it,
change anything.
if I look at this just again through the lens of the matches we've seen, Gentlemates, they play wacky comps, but they if you have a good idea of how they're going to be playing, you can dismantle it pretty easily. And there's no team better at trying to break down a team's play style than Fnatic, arguably. Although I would have thought that, but then they lost to Heretics, and they have a very baked play style already with the way the Heretics play. I just feel iffy about it, man. I don't know. I just feel iffy about it. It should be, in theory, a slam dunk for Fnatic. Like, they should win in terms of player quality, and they should win in terms of being able to sniff out what Gentlemates are going to do. But
You gonna switch your pred?
Yeah, I was going to say, you should change. This could be another screenshot for the Twitter. Someone randomly adds me, you looking smug again. It's perfect.
If I swap the
You get it
Preds.
wrong, no one remembers.
I've said I hate.
It's all good.
I've said I hate Paris though, so it would be disingenuous for me to swap the Gentlemates. I think they would work it out.
But you know,
fuck it, dude. Fuck it. Just change
No.
the bread. Change the bread.
No.
Well, I'll say the Fnatic fans right now are yipping and hollering and cheering and skipping across their
you're
room.
just doing this because you know that there's no upside if we all pred Fnatic and Fnatic win. That means nothing. But if you pred Gentlemates and Gentlemates win, like you're hedging your
I don't
bets
feel good
here.
about any of this. I don't feel good about any of this.
But it is a guarantee.
Yeah.
Fnatic are winning this game, Brett.
Fred, it's a guarantee. Come on, like we just talked through everything, right? You say like they should have beat Heretics, but I think the difference is I feel like Gentlemates relies on the comp itself, quite heavily more than Heretics. I mean, Heretics, they have their own ideas as well, but they also back it up with a lot of other stuff on top of that, right? And I'm not saying that Gentlemates only has like cheese comps or whatever, but that's like their biggest strength, I think, is what we're seeing. And I mean, it's been shown
Let's take
enough.
it this angle, because I feel like, Will, you're absolutely right. That's the most logical angle we could take this. Bren, now I'm going to ask you, Kurt, can you just pull up the match page, the list of 5 players? Tell me, in the head-to-head of Raw, which Gentlemates player is better than the respective Fnatic player? And just one. That's all I'm asking.
But you're talking player quality, and I would agree with you. Player quality on Fnatic is supposed to be way higher.
Supposed to be. It is.
Well, I say that because they haven't been looking like they. I've still got a Heretics game stuck in my head when they were just looking off. They were losing fights, and they weren't trading each other out, and they were taking risks to try and prove that they were the better team.
This is
and
your
they were just getting
chance
dismantled.
to take the red pill and be free.
You want me to swap my pred again?
We are so often living in our simulation of the last match is all that exists. It's not true. There are hundreds of matches of Fnatic out there where they have won, where they are one of the best teams in the world, where for a year we were saying this is the best team in the world. It is still that squad. They've been stumbling a little bit recently, but they are playing a squad that just came up from Ascension and has been fine. And this is the best team of last year. Like, please, if something is a guarantee. History means things.
Dude, swap it back. I'm
And here's the thing. If that didn't sell you, 1512 to 1514, the first Anglo-French war, who won that? France. Think about that as Karmine Corp. Now we move on. 1522 to 1526, the second Anglo-French war. England fucking dumpsters on them, boys. Come on, lads, get the fucking.
Come on, boys. Come on, England. There has been a lot of wars between the UK and France.
Yeah.
And between England and France.
And this is the next edition.
This is the next one.
Okay.
Wow. Who won last time?
France, because KC won.
Oh yeah.
This is the
Good
run
point.
back.
This is the run back. Okay. All right. Sure. I just there's something in the air, and I feel like we're all about to get fucked. I'm just gonna say it. I'm just gonna say it. I was trying so hard to justify a Gentlemates pick, but yeah, you're right. I mean, Fnatic have everything going for them. They have the prep diff, they have the player quality diff, they have the aim diff, they've got a map pool that looks good, Alvia's playing right. Everything looks good. Nothing can go wrong for this team at all. Nothing could possibly go wrong.
We won't regret this.
I was saying, no mention of the Dark Yoru, or not a fan of that?
The Dirk Yoru? Well, Alpha stole the spotlight a little bit, no?
I mean, dude, it didn't hit. I'll be straight up. You can't got to flame for a little bit. You can't be hyping it up on Twitter for like 3 months or whatever, and then show that performance.
Oh, the Breeze game, dude.
Like, it's just sending it in on his own. It's like, I don't know, man. It was not great. It really was not great.
It was not. But
Yeah.
all good. all
All
good.
good.
Let's just pretend the last 10 minutes didn't happen. We had a very quick, simple plat check guarantee, and we moved on to a
Yep.
game that should be a little bit more interesting to talk about, such as Karmine Corp versus NAVI. This is one we were excited for, and it's split down the middle.
okay.
Me
Ooh.
and Will have gone with Karmine Corp, and Stephen Leggy and Brennan Hook have gone for Natus Vincier. Will, I want to start with you. What's the case for KC?
In all honesty, because we were talking about the KC match earlier, and I remembered why I was kind of on the fence, because I think one of their strengths aren't showing right now in stage 1 particularly, compared to how much stronger they looked in kickoff. But I feel like they've gone through it now, right? They've aired it out all out, right? And they're back to form, and I think this should have been a pretty strong wake up call as well, the way they were playing in this past week. So there's that, and then if we wanted to add a little bit more, Chloe's supposed to be available, right? So we know of someone who loves experimenting on the other side of Navi. And I think that will be the downfall of
Navi are not playing Clove. I'll tell you straight up right now. Navi
It's not
are
until
not-
Friday anyway, right?
I'm just throwing that out there. No,
Is
that's
it
not the
Friday?
reason I voted.
Yeah, I think it's Friday when
Oh, I
teams
thought it
are
was
allowed
all
to
week
play.
3.
Oh, is
I thought
it
it was all
Friday?
week 3.
Okay, the tweet said
Yeah,
week 3.
It's
Okay.
week 3 for like Pacific and America.
Right.
Gotcha.
But EMEA starts earlier. Okay.
Yes.
I don't know.
Right.
I just don't. For me, I pick Karmine Corp. I think this is going to be a really close match. I think both these teams are squads that, on paper, you expect really close, but both have had like very weird kind of form. Navi looked incredible their first match. KC had a really good game against Giants, but then against Foot, I mean, we already talked about it. We're losing to a no initiator comp on Lotus and not adapting on our defense, and that game was pretty depressing to watch as a KC believer. However, I'm in the era where I'm not letting myself be too colored by the previous week performance for both of these teams. I think it's important to keep in mind, but I think there's a hell of a lot to learn from KC for that game. I think despite the struggles that they were having, later on we saw good things. Second match against Gentlemates, like Narrate was back to his normal stuff, out there dunking on them, and I feel like it's a close game, and KC, I'm just taking the punt a little bit here, but I do think the Navi case is pretty reasonable, and I want Sliggy to give it.
Yeah, I just think from what I've kind of seen, K-Corp struggle with just new comps, and dude, I can't get this Lotus game out of my head. Like Navi always play new comps. If they pick a Sage, they win in my book. So it's just like if a team can't mid round, I feel like I just think Navi is going to see that and they'll be able to exploit it. I think this team kind of running off just like set strats. I do think they're readable to an extent. I don't think there's like. I think when they get stuck and they kind of meet a actual like barrier, I don't think they're good at adjusting and going back, taking map control. I think they're very set in their ways, and I think I'm expecting like the coaches in terms of Doom Bros to have a good read into this stuff, because this is very similar. When I watch these guys, it's very similar to how like Gambit and even like we used to play in terms of Liquid back then, when it was like no IGL, just full set strats. And I think Doom Bros always used to have very good reads on like this means that they're going to be doing this, and I feel like K-Corp don't mix up their stuff enough. I just think the Navi will have good reads into this.
Yeah. The tendency for that Lotus game as well, where Karmine Corp were just defaulting into the C mount take, like pretty so often. Because they're just not really taking into account the opposite composition that's facing them. I think they will be more ready for Navi this time. I mean, Navi haven't exactly shied away from showing the comps. I mean, I don't think they're going to be throwing too many curveballs, but you are right. I mean, just thinking like, what if they do throw a Sage into the mix to disrupt? That really catches teams that are retake heavy with their protocols off guard. Because when you have to account for a Sage wall and break it, and also the slow orbs, like it just disjoints the whole of the retake protocols usually. It's really difficult for teams. I don't think they will throw that into the mix. I also don't think, I mean, but they're not going to, they can't play Clove, because I didn't realize that they couldn't be played until Friday in EMEA, but yeah. Makes sense. I think this will still be a close game though. Like, this is for one of the first times ever, our Preds are actually mirroring kind of what I feel like is the vibe check of the match overall. Yeah. Like this you could put this down to a coin flip. I think it slightly favors Navi, but I think there's arguments to be made where it does favor Karmine Corp too. So I'll stick with the Navi Pred. Yeah.
I mean, this is definitely the match of the week for EMEA. This is one I'm super excited to watch. I feel like we've had a lot of like weird games that shouldn't have been good, but ended up being like crazy upsets. But this is one that just like on paper should be one of like the best possible matches we can get in this region. And I think this is, as we were talking about earlier, really a big decider of like setting the bar of like how are we ordering these top teams? Is Navi really like the contender to be the best team in the region? Is K-Corp going to keep that crown? I think a lot of those questions start to be answered in this game, and it also really starts to set the picture because for these teams, especially for a group like over that has both that has Navi and Foot in it. On the other side, you have both KC and Fnatic in it. You have a lot of these teams together. Getting that #1 seed, getting the bye in the playoffs, and basically only having to win one match to qualify for Shanghai is a huge boom. So winning this is super important.
Yeah, I also think going to Madrid, like K-Corp got a bit of a rough deal going to Madrid and then kind of going out fast and then not so much time to change all their stuff. So I feel like that cracks are starting to show of just amount of time they have to prep in terms of the other teams. And when I say prep, I mean more like their own individual stuff. Even though it's impressive what they've done in such a small amount of time,
Yeah.
but I think I think that just the strat book isn't deep enough, and
You're
the
seeing
adjustments
evidence of
on
that in every region. Like all the teams that pretty much
Yes.
went deep at Madrid or went to Madrid in the first place, unless they didn't have anything to start with, like to begin with, which is like PaperX, where they were literally
like
building
PaperX.
their playbook over the course of the tournament. They just haven't been having a good time because dude, you've just played a massive tournament. You've had like a 1 week break, and
Yeah,
and you have no time to change anything.
they would just got massively fucked. Like Laos
Yeah.
is the best example. Just
Yep.
like go over, you come second, so you get no points in your region. Come fourth, so you get no championship points as well. So you just get prize money, which they essentially had anyway. So it doesn't matter too much to them. And then they go back, visa issues, no practice, same comps, same issue on Lotus and Ascent. Like it's going to these early events is so hard to. I mean, it just wrecks you long term. That's why I think Sentinels, not that they're going to struggle. I just think that this will be like if they don't win Shanghai, this will be one of the reasons for it, because it's just like these teams get wrecked by showing so much early. And I think we're starting to see that now, especially this week, across all the regions.
Yeah.
The early complaint about this format was that there wasn't enough games for the bad teams. But I think the real complaint is that there is just so much Valorant for the good teams. The best teams in the world are playing back to back to back,
Yeah.
constant
That's
matches
always been the
with
major
no
argument.
breaks, and it has always been the case,
Yeah.
and it's kind of unavoidable when you have so many international tournaments. But it's the reason it's so hard to stay on top. Valorant has never had a team who goes and wins like 2 champions 2 years in a row. We've only ever had 2 international like one team win 2 international events. It is so fucking hard to be consistent once you're on top. So I think it's almost expected that you'll see like teams come back to their regions after these big international events and struggle because they're the team that everyone has been watching and trying to learn from while they're chilling at home scrimming.
Stretched too thin.
It's so challenging. But yeah, let's move on to the next game for EMEA. Team Vitality, Foot Esports.
Oh,
Wow.
50-50
okay.
again.
Same.
Yeah.
Me and Chobra
Okay.
on the same page. We're Pred and Foot. Vitality is again Bren and Sliggy. Bren, I'll start with you. What's the case for
Yep.
Team Vitality?
I think that this team's always had the potential, but they just weren't executing. Right? They've always spoke about how good they are in scrims and how they just needed to show it in the official capacity, and I think they've finally, hopefully, gotten over that hurdle as well. I mean, a large component as to why they won over Heretics was because of those pistol rounds. And maybe if they keep that going, I mean, that's a very solid game plan. If you put a lot of your preparation into pistol rounds and constantly come up with, ways to essentially win that, you get yourself off to an absolutely incredible start. But they're not lacking in any of the other departments either. I thought that the rifling and the calling was also really good from Vitality. So, and Foot are going to be a difficult team to test you in that regard, I think, as well. If there's one thing Foot are good at, it's the rifling and how they're going to be taking you in those fights. And they are going to be testing the way you like to play and set up. Like you have to be ready for so many different things with this Foot team. They are really, really quite good. So it's not a given. It's not a givey that that Vitality win. But I think that Vitality showed enough that I would give them a slight edge, I think, in this match.
I think that's reasonable, but I feel like it's like nearly 50-50. I feel like it's maybe like 60-40
tough
towards
one.
Vitality, but Foot, honestly, last week, they just come off beating Karmine Corp. The confidence for this team has got to be ridiculously high after that win. cNed is looking like in excellent form for this squad. Everyone else is hitting. They play a weird comps, a weird style that I think is tough to adapt to for teams. We saw it in that K-Corp game, and they execute on it incredibly well. They're a squad that they're never going to be as like flashy as having, oh my god, that's such a good adaptation, such an insane call from this team. But they're just like a consistently good team with some ridiculous shooters that I think it's always worth kind of taking the risk and saying, this is a squad that can take home a match. I don't know if you have any different reasons, Will.
Yeah, it's somewhat similar. So the way I see it is I think this match, the Vitality Foot match, will be the one where like Foot's weaknesses in their comms, etc., shows, but not in like there's still going to be the mechanics, etc., that carry them through for the win, right? I think this is kind of that slow creep where Foot eventually will hit the cap with their comps and their ideas and their unique style, but this will merely be the challenge portion, and that's because of the way that Vitality is able to set things up, etc. But I think also the confidence thing I think is a big reason, because sure, like Vitality is also growing, but Vitality I think is obviously building much more on a back foot than Foot is, in my opinion, in terms of just overall like style and team chemistry, etc., etc. So I think Foot is basically like starting a step ahead. That's how I see it, and Vitality is good enough to challenge it, but I think Foot comes out on top this time.
Yeah, I think this is fair. I think it's all like a pretty close game. I'm pretty scared of cNed just taking over, because I think that can happen, especially when Vitality are maybe lacking on like the first kills. That's kind of what cNed excels at in my books. But when I look at Vitality, I just think this is just the start, really. I think even if I look at the map, like in terms of Sunset, where they lost, saw a lot of good stuff. And dude, Foot can't get 9 rounds again on this Lotus comp, so it's just it can't happen again. So that's kind of the big thing that's swaying me. There's no round. They won't even get 6 with this comp. It should never be happening. Like there's no way. There is no way they get 6 rounds on attack, right? On Lotus.
There's no way Lotus will be played again, and that will happen again.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Any further thoughts on this match?
No.
Nope. No
should
thoughts.
Be a banger.
Head empty.
Yeah,
it should be a good one. Next game, final game for EMEA. Liquid versus the Big X.
Ooh.
3-1 in favor of Liquid. Bren, the only dissenter on Giant. Defend yourself.
I just don't have faith in Liquid. That's
and that's
basically what this
based.
boils down
Honestly,
to.
if you're to have one opinion across the history of Valorant, that tends to be true.
Yeah, I think they've shown some really good stuff, and then they struggle. I mean, if anything, they should be bouncing back after that loss to NAVI, because I would be pissed if I was a player or a coach of Liquid, and that was the way we went out. Like, you lost all hope. Yeah, you could just tell the fire was gone. You can't have that as a competitor. You can't fucking have that. You have to go into. Doesn't matter if you lose and they run it all the way back against you, and you lose every fight, and then you lose a map you should have won and a series you should have won. I think that Liquid should be quite fired up and hungry coming into this year, but yeah, I don't know. Something. I just don't have faith. I just don't have faith in this Liquid squad, even though they've got all the pieces there and they've shown some good stuff.
Oh, this image.
My. Yeah. It's accurate.
Yeah, I think this might be a close game. I do think this might be a close game, because I think Giants, the improvements that I saw was cool. Especially when I look at their Breeze, they looked a lot more together and it actually made sense. Whereas the Fire Showing Breeze is one of the worst maps I've seen for a while. But yeah, I don't know. I think this one is going to be close. I still think what I saw from Liquid, if we just look at the first 3 halves from the game they played, it was really good up until that choke came. So I feel like as long as they don't get to the stage where there is a potential choke and they kind of keep momentum, then I think they're fine. Because again, the stuff that we saw on Lotus and Attack Split was really nice. So I'm kind of running with that it's good, and then I don't even want to look at the Ascent. I don't even want to judge it because they're all mentally out of it. So I'm not including that one for where I'm at here. So that's kind of why I'm on board. But dude, I'm worried if there's like this. I'm worried if there's like a big 1v3 clutch or something that shouldn't happen and it all just falls apart. That it feels like it's just one round away from just crumbling. So yeah, hopefully you don't see it.
Yeah. So another argument as well for Giants is that I think Cloud had a pretty piss poor performance in the last match, which I don't think will happen again. That guy's so good. He's so good. It's actually a miracle that he's been looking as bad as he has on Giants. Like, I don't know how that's really possible, but yeah, I don't think he's going to be having as poor of a performance this time around. Because yeah, he was like he was down there. He was down there, man.
All right. Well, we're already over time on EMEA,
Yeah.
so I feel like that's a good place to wrap it up.
Just
Will, thank you so much
do
for
the
joining us
segment.
for both Pacific
What-
and stepping in to do this one as well. Really appreciate it. If you wanna give yourself a little plug or something.
Sure. I do stuff on
That's awesome.
Cast Valorant. So come watch Pacific, watch EMEA. You know, you can watch EMEA in the next 2 days and then you can come back to watch Pacific. I will give a plug. This is completely unrelated to the VCT leagues, but Challengers Korea Finals is going on this Friday and I'll be co-streaming that in English. So if you want to check out the potential future talent of Korea, like Karon, then you can come check that out.
That's pretty exciting.
Cool.
Is it's like already, so will the team that win that like qualify to
No,
Ascension,
this is just
or this is
stage
just the
one for
first
prize
split?
money.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just the first split.
LFG
but they're-
Portal versus
Yeah, there's some familiar names on LFG Portal for anyone who used to follow the match. SLT's mostly all rookies. LFG Portal, you've got like Hate, NAVI, Moves, and Sunday. So, yeah.
should be fun. All right, well, we'll
Yeah.
make sure you check it out. Thank you very much again, William Chobra. I don't know why I'm saying your
Listen,
real
my
name.
name's all over the place. I should have never really tried to force this whole going by my real name thing. It's just a big old mess.
Thank you, Will.
right.
Me, Brandon, Sliggy are slicking around. We're going to be joined by Doug for Americas after the break. Yippee!
Sounds good.
Thank you, Will.
Bye.
Catch you guys
Thanks,
later.
Will.
Onka-shun.
I'm gonna try not to blow everybody's eardrums out this time. Let's see if I can accomplish that. All right, this is a great song. I love this song. I load you into the call, Doug, and I just immediately see you dancing. This is a good song. It's a real good song.
Yeah, it's low-key a bop.
How are
It's a
you, Doug?
bop. I am exhausted. Red
Oh,
eyes. Whee!
Yeah, it'd be like that. But we power through. Oh yeah, I'll run Egg Scramble after this song. We have time for it, I think. We'll run it once a stream if I remember.
Again. Damn, dude.
Oh shit!
getting savaged
Sorry,
out
I didn't know
here.
you were back.
I'm getting absolutely savaged out here. What's going on? Every week.
I'm
Do you
back.
think we should? Do you think we should tone it back, Sliggy?
Nah, you guys go.
You need to come up with a comeback song.
I can't, bro. I've been hit too hard. There's no getting back from this.
Just a one-hit KO. There's no
Yeah,
beef
it
here.
was, man. It really was, yeah. I'm still down.
Dude, I fucking love royalty-free music. This is so good.
This is in the top 10 songs ever made.
Yeah, it's up there. Maybe even number 5.
Yeah. You know what? I'm vetoing it. No egg scramble today. Next
Damn,
week.
a week
Next
off?
week. You get a week off, Sliggy. Is everybody here? Do you guys want to just get started?
Let's do
I'm
it.
here.
Is
Yeah,
Douglas
I'm
here?
down.
Let's find out.
Douglas.
Boom, there he is. Oh, I forgot to
He's
change his
here.
nameplate.
Oh,
He's
it's
not Choba.
William.
Let me change his nameplate real
He's
quick.
not
William
William.
Cortez, welcome back.
Uh,
Oh, he doesn't know how his microphone works.
hello. Is
Is his
Oh,
mic
look at that
working, or-
smile.
the FNS bit.
Wait, your mic was working like 2 seconds ago. What happened?
Uh-oh.
He's telling us.
That's okay.
Thanks for telling
We
us.
can't hear
Anyone
you.
got that? Any lip
1 second.
readers?
I'm fixing your. Just reconnect to the call. That's usually what fixes it.
We're fixing it.
Okay.
Take support
Goodbye,
on
Doug.
the case.
America.
Oh, America. Do you want me to host this?
I don't care. Do you want to?
Yeah, I'll host it.
All right.
Is Doug here?
How'd I do? Did I fix
Oh,
it?
works
Esports
again.
dog.
Perfect.
It works again.
Hello, friends.
Hello, everybody. So Doug's joining us for the America segment. Doug, listen, how was LA?
Lovely. I, much like Mimi, took a red eye back. I napped for 2 hours and I feel like a zombie. So this
Excellent.
is going to be excellent. I'm in
So
good
we are-
company.
We have had 0 people with 8 hours of sleep on this show today,
Yeah,
and we've had one of the
pretty much.
largest rosters we've ever had on a Plat episode.
It's
So,
going to be one of the best ones yet.
Yep, let's get started with Americas, man. I mean, there's a lot to talk about with Americas. There's a lot that happened, but we're going to start with 100 Thieves making history. They get their first win in Americas since May of last year. Open it up, nice and special. Are they legit being the first kind of like minor topic title? For me personally, I always felt like this team was legit. I felt like they just were. They're in a hard group. They're in the toughest group for the quick-off quals, and then they played against the Madrid winners. What the fuck did you want from them? Do you know what I mean? Like, what did you really want from this team? But I think they showed themselves to be a real top team against G2. I was dead impressed. I was expecting a little bit more out of G2 with this match here, but man, oh man, they looked good. They looked real good. I had no real complaints when I was watching this. I don't know if you guys felt the same way.
No, I'm in the same boat. I think anyone that was like dooming on 100 Thieves after their kickoff group and after playing Sentinels in their first round was actually just in their hater era, and wanted the
I mean,
worst
they've
for
only
this
known
team.
hate. The 100 Thieves fans have only
and
known hate.
you know what? They're absolutely right. They're like a dog that's been kicked. They need to know love.
Jesus.
They need to know love. And I think that this 100 Thieves roster is going to give them love and give them the welcoming home that the 100 Thieves fans have deserved for so damn long. Because they played excellently in this one. The bind game was really impressive to me. I love the stuff they're doing with this kind of like double scout comp with the Fade and the Gecko. I think the way that they're kind of having these slower rounds where they're cycling the utility really well, selling a lot of these fakes on their attack side. The way Busio was calling around it was pretty sweet. And then when they go for the harder execs and stuff, even though Austin didn't have like a crazy game by the numbers, he was doing, I think, a really solid job of setting up on these entries off of that double scout utility. And the rest of the team was just playing.
Throw me off. I know you push forward new terms a lot, Mimi, and they do stick sometimes.
Sometimes.
Like
Double
they
scout.
do
Dive,
stick sometimes.
dive.
Double
Does
scout
anybody
is,
else say scout or dive?
I say dive.
Dive's the
dive?
one.
Okay,
Dive is
dive,
start-
thanks.
the Mimi was the first one to be saying dive.
Yeah,
Double dive? Yeah, that's
because
it.
it's a good term.
It
It's
is a good term. It is a good term.
And
Scout-
here's the thing: saying double initiator, it doesn't explain what it is. There are flash initiators and there are scout initiators, and this is a double scout initiator.
Info
comp.
initiator.
Or scan initiators. Yeah. I've
Info-
never heard of
info
them as
initiator?
scout.
No,
scout.
honestly though, scout is just one word. I do kind of like it, but it's giving Age of Empires 2. It's giving. I'm starting off. I'm scouting the enemy's base with my horse, and that it's. But I do. I listen. It's not for me. I'm just a hater. What can I say? But I do.
You're like a 100 Thieves fan in that
I'm like a
sense.
100 Thieves fans. I've only known hate and bitterness in my life until we win, and then.
And
Yeah.
then life is good.
Life is
but
good.
but it's not my point. The final thing I want to say beyond the comp, I like Cryo on smokes. Put more Star Duelist players on smokes. On defense, he's so enabled to just shoot his gun. Brimstone, little baby agent for babies. He doesn't have to worry about being a dive player. He can just be the second or third guy in and shoot his gun. And my God, did I miss Cryocell shooting his gun.
Yeah.
It's been too long.
I don't know. I think the Cryo that we saw week 1 on smokes and the Cryo that we saw this past weekend on smokes were 2 different players. And so I think he notably felt a lot more comfortable, and I was super encouraged about that. I think Boostio shot back this weekend, and that certainly helps if you're going to win games. EU was exceptional. I think, we, much like you guys were saying, Asano was what he needed to be for his team. I think I was excited when I saw their map 1 last weekend, and then I was very unexcited about Split. But this weekend did a lot for me. I think this team is starting to look like the team we thought they were going to be, the team that should be good, and it's finally coming together.
Yeah, I kind of back this. I think they've had hard opponents. I like how they played against the G2 comp on Bind, which I think is pretty flawed. I don't think this G2 comp that they use in terms of the solo Yoru can actually go over towards B, so I think they did very good and just hard stacking A a lot of the times as well. And just, I don't know, man, I'm not sold. I'm not sold on the solo Yoru on this map. I don't think it's good for G2. No. I like some of their comps. I don't like some of the others. But I think they handled this well. Sticking on Cryo, I think he's just heavy fragging. He won so many individual rounds on Split as well. And then everything he did on Bind was just perfect. Even just Smoke Util was really, really good. And then to talk about Asuna as well, you pretty much just nailed it. He is doing his role. If you look at the amount of util that actually sets him up to take space, it's not that much. He is going in a lot of the time just to literally make sure that everyone can get through the choke point. And he's doing his role. And I'm watching the amount of times that he doesn't have util with him, to kind of enable him to get kills, and it's not many people are gonna go positive with how they're playing the Raze at the moment. So yeah, it's just you go in, make space, we'll win you the round, and
he is Optic Victor.
I will say though,
it is that, yeah.
To be a hater once more. Asuna was locked. He was locked the fuck in. Listen, he had a stellar game. I ain't not gonna fault that, but one of the core issues that I keep wanting to see solved is him not getting ahead of the rest of his team in the way he's been set up. And he was frying without that setup as much, right, this time around. But that hasn't been the case prior. It's like Slig, you just said, look at a Raze who's set up in the same way and see them do what Asuna did. That's essentially what happened when they were losing a lot of time. He wasn't hitting those shots. He wasn't hitting those incredible 2 pieces where he was just snapping and reacting to players. He was on fire across the board. And if that's consistent, great. But it's very hard to be consistent in that regard there. And I don't know if it really... The trouble is with it was with 100 Thieves. I'm very happy they got the win. And I was one of the major people singing the praises of this team, even when they were losing because of the difficulty of their opponents. But G2 didn't really put up that much of a challenge. They really didn't. G2 couldn't shoot back. Their comps didn't look well thought out. It was... It's a weird one because I thought it was going to be a much more competitive game than it actually was, but it really wasn't competitive. It looks competitive as well in terms of the scorelines. G2 won 3 out of 4 of the pistol rounds, and they're still losing in that fashion. It actually wasn't that competitive. If 100 Thieves won the pistol rounds, they would have just been dominating both of the maps. It would have been absolute clean sweeps almost, I think. Yeah, it's good for them. I'm happy they got their win. Happy for you, but I'm not going to be too much of a hater. I think they've shown some good stuff. I think that they're on the right track record. They finally got their win. Hopefully, it's a hurdle that they've now cleared, and now they can head into the next 3 weeks of matches, which they're going to be tough opponents. Don't get me wrong. They're playing against Cloud9, Crew, NRG, and I think all of those teams are going to be hard. Cloud9 have a tendency to drag teams, just grab them by the ankles, and sink you into the mud, whether you like it or not. So.
They're the ultimate oily men team.
They are. Cloud9 are actually the oil barons. They have it stocked up, and every game they lather themselves up, and they're like, "We've got extra for you too," and they will drag you down to that level every fucking game. I swear to God, Cloud9 are just that team. I don't know what it is about them. They bring teams to that level of chaos which they thrive in. It does make for some very entertaining games. But anyway, I'm getting off track here as the host of the show. I'm getting
I
off
love
track.
that for you.
Wait, I want to take your job for a second. I'm gonna host. I'm gonna ask the people a question. Given what we've seen of 100 Thieves so far, I do.
You play the
given what
drums.
we've seen of 100 Themes so far, yeah, I do.
Can you do a song?
I need a host.
Can you do a song?
No, no,
Wait,
give us
can
a
you do
solo.
one
Sure.
song? Can
Yeah,
you do
give
one
us some
song?
kind of solo.
One
Mimi,
song, and then you can ask a
Mimi,
question.
We're gonna put Subway Surfers up while I speak, so you can focus.
No. You don't. You're gonna come into this place and you're gonna refuse to play the drums. What's wrong with you, Kurt? Get him off the show.
Where
Get him
do
off the
we
show,
think?
Kurt.
Where
Josh
do we
rode the
think?
bike.
Where do we?
Play the drums.
Where do we think 100 Thieves stands in the 11 teams? Where do we put them?
I don't think they stand. I think they sit behind the drum set and they play a little jingle, and then they answer the question.
You're unbelievable.
Give us a riff. Give us a riff. Give us a riff.
It's an
Yeah.
electric
It's
hit.
a
You wouldn't be able
silent
to hear
drum
it
set. I
anyway.
don't care.
Oh,
Dude, give us a
yeah.
riff.
Yeah, you wouldn't be able to hear
Yeah,
it.
but we can hear the rhythm.
We can imagine.
You can
pretend?
feel it.
Can you pretend? You're gonna play like that?
We're not upside down.
That's great.
It's-
Thank you.
Wait,
But you're
he's
not
pretty
sitting
good.
behind it.
He is on rhythm though.
Yeah. That's
Great
pretty
job.
good.
All right. What was
100
it?
Thieves.
Where do they stand in terms of the rest of the competition? The other 11 teams, right?
Yeah. Like if you were to give them a
Yeah.
rank right now, where do you think they're going to finish? 1 through 11. Where do you put them?
5th.
Yeah, I think mid-table, right?
Fourth.
4th, 5th.
Does that not mean? How do you define legit then?
Top 4 is
Because-
legit, and they're top
Yeah,
4.
top 4 is quite legit, right?
I actually
They-
think with the competitiveness of Americas, with it being a tier 1 like league, I think it's like legit in my definition is like minimum top 6 team who plays close games against the best teams.
Yeah.
And I think 100 Thieves is exactly that.
Yeah, I like
I
it.
think they're legit. I don't think right now they're much more than legit. I'm not like they're going to be a finalist. They're guaranteed making Shanghai, but I think they're in that position where they're just outside, like they expected to make Shanghai, that they could definitely go on a run and do that, and they can beat the best teams in the league. And you look at their strength of schedule. C9 Crew. I mean, you were already talking about this, Brent. I think those matches look pretty favorable for them. NRG is going to be really hard, but if they could upset NRG at the end here, like, I don't know, like
This team is
they're legit.
This team is fascinating because I could see them going 0-3 and I can see them going 2-1. I don't think they beat NRG, but I could easily see them losing to Cloud9 and Crew, and then I could also see them like beating them both. So I don't. When we rate this team, I don't know what to do with them.
This Cloud9 game is going to be it's going to be the test. That's going to be the
Yeah,
litmus test, I
it
think.
is.
That's going to be the big one because we know the Cloud9 are muddy men, and then we know that they like to get dirty with it. But yeah, because the top 4, I would say, in Americas, I think most people would agree. NRG, Sen, Loud, Lev.
And then what? Yeah, I guess.
And then I think you've got like Cloud9 and 100 Thieves really competing for that
And I think it
spot in
is
fifth.
100 Thieves.
Yeah, and it should be in theory, but you never know. You never know. I mean, we'll get to Preds later. We'll get to. I'm sure we're Pred in that game. I can't remember what our Preds are, but I'm sure. Actually, we're not.
I
doing
don't
that
know
one.
if I got that one. It's a
Yeah,
super
we
week,
just need
so
to do
I
it
had to
now, then.
condense it down, and
Just
also
do it now.
I'm
Let's just
huffing
do it now.
Corp,
Who do
yeah.
they
Oh,
play?
you want to do it
100
now?
Thieves is beating
Oh, we
them.
have to.
Yeah, go ahead. Okay, let's.
100 Thieves is winning.
You think 100 Thieves?
Which
It's
game?
100
Sorry?
Thieves Cloud9.
Against
100
Cloud9.
Thieves, Cloud9.
Can't remember what I put for my pick'ems. Hold up, let me click this.
I don't think it was in the thing.
No, it's in my
Oh,
own
yours.
pick'ems. Yeah, personal. I picked
The private
100
collection.
Thieves.
Three
Confidently.
100 Thieves. Doug? Hello?
Hello.
I think my mic is broken again. Sorry.
You want to play the drums again, or
Yeah, all of a sudden, I think I can do it. I 100 Thieves. I
You
think.
go 100 Thieves. So
Yeah,
that's
I
300
think
Thieves.
so.
Well, there's actually only 100 of them.
Wow.
Is it 300
oh my
Thieves?
God, get me out of here.
there is a chance Oxy just wins it though. on
Yeah,
his own.
I'm gonna go
That's the thing.
Cloud9. I think
You're running it down.
Cloud9's gameplay. I think when it gets into if it gets scrappy, I think that Cloud9 will thrive against a team like 100 Thieves. But yeah, I think it's gonna be a close one. I would go Cloud9. I'll avoid the pseudo guarantee, even though it's not an official prediction segment. Okay, enough about those teams. Let's talk another team that's been popping off. Another player that's been popping off actually, which is aspas versus the world 1v9. I've never seen a bigger performance out of a player in quite some time. Dude, he was setting records with the win over Sentinels. You can make excuses for Sen. Listen, they've had a rough time of things, obviously coming off the back of Madrid, but My God, I was impressed with Lev. I was so ready to give up on this team overall. And it was partly because I think I said right before the match, I mean, even on Plat chat, I said, there's no way that Sen lose this. I think we were all 100% on the side. It was like, this is the most guarantee if there's ever going to be a guarantee. Sen should win it. No questions whatsoever. Even if aspas has a monster game, they should still win it. Now, listen, aspas had a monster game. They barely won in quadruple OT, but they still won with him almost putting up 50 kills. But the thing that impressed me the most, I think, was just Lev seemed to have got... they've had a course correction with this match. I think that was the biggest thing showcased. And we got even more evidence of that as well, I think, in one of the post-game interviews. I think it was with Com right at the very end when he was talking about what happened and what changed for them, right? And he was saying that it was like they had a big just sit down talking how they wanted to play the game and just clearing up a bunch of communication problems that they've been having up until that point. And I think this was such an important one to win because if they didn't win this one, I'm convinced they would have the team would have blown up. The roster would have blown up. They've been expecting to win for the longest time and they finally got it over the edge. The question is it consistent? That's what I'm going to be posing to you, Sliggy.
Yeah, I think it can be consistent. And if it was any other player, I would be like, well, they can't be consistent. But this dude could frag out this heavy all the time. That's the mad thing. He's actually just so talented. And I think they kind of just messed up some rounds as well. They should have had this one a little bit cleaner if we're looking at Lotus. Like they had four like match points, right? Map points. Yeah, like it was a John QT's like 4K in the back of C. There was some mad rounds they were losing at the end. They just wanted to try and finish it fast. So yeah, I think they can. I think some of the util look good. They all looked a lot better. It was on the same page. It was way more decisive in terms of what they wanted to do in a lot of rounds. Yeah, I'm excited, dude. I think this was one of the best maps I've ever watched, by the way. It was so hyped towards the end. It was really good. Like pretty much from like 12-8, it was just crazy. It was, and then it just continued all the way through. It was so sick. And yeah, dude, I think, aspas being able to do these kind of numbers against Sentinels as well with that, like that's mad. Like most of these kill records, you'll be like, oh yeah, but it's against this team. Like it's actually doing it against like the current best at the moment. That's so insane. It really was. But yeah, I think Lev, it's like you said. I think it was either like this week or next week, like last week or this week would have been like do or die for them. They have to get some wins, and I think this is early, a lot of confidence into the team, and yeah, hopefully we kind of see them live up to the levels and the expectations that we had from just the roster on paper. So yeah, I'm still a little bit concerned about some of their maps, but we didn't get to see them, so that's good.
Yeah, I don't know.
If we can't see it, it's not a problem.
I don't wanna. I'm okay. I'm much more excited about Lev because I thought this team was going to like completely dismantle by the end of stage 1. After watching first week, after hearing the streets words about them, it seemed like it was a team that was falling apart. But like you were mentioning, it seems like they've sorted a lot of those issues and they looked like a team this week, which is good. It took this utterly ridiculous performance from aspas, but they won it. I don't think they're the best team in Americas. I don't think that they would likely beat Sentinels again. I don't think they beat NRG. But I think this is a squad that has a very real chance of going to Masters Shanghai. And if they continue in this fashion, where they're actually playing like a team, where they're setting each other up, and of course, where aspas is playing like the absolutely ridiculous, like best player in the world conversation kind of guy he is, then yeah, this team could get another upset like this. This team is definitely, in my book, a top 3 team in Americas.
Okay. Allow me to hate.
Okay, please.
Just
I love some
hater
hating.
arc enabled. Let's go.
I think there are a lot of things that clicked for Leviathan at just the right time. I don't think we see a performance from Sentinels like that again. And it honestly, it wasn't because of travel or anything like that. It had been a week since Sean was back. They had scrimmed, they'd done their things. They really didn't have an excuse, to be honest. I talked to Kaplan about it after the match, and he was like, dude, I'm mad. I'm mad with how we played. I know we're infinitely better than we are. It felt like a lot of times Sentinels were almost forcing plays. We saw them go down, and everything felt a little... Yeah, it felt forced. It felt like they were trying to make a play happen because they were down. And so when you combine that with the fact that, yes, it's aspas and he's going to aspas all over people again, but he dropped 40-something kills in a game.
Yeah.
And yeah, it took 35 rounds or whatever, but Yeah, he's going to drop 30 bombs. But that's what it took for them to win one map against the Sentinels that looks like honestly, oftentimes it felt like Sentinels of last year was some of the stuff we were watching. So I'm not nearly as sold as Leviathan. I'd like to be sold on him. I do think they made improvements. I think they approached the games differently. I think Calm approached the game differently. And I think that's a big key to Leviathan being successful, because if you know that one player is going to be doing the same thing every single round, it becomes infinitely more readable. And I think Calm was getting to that point. So those adjustments being made give me reason for potential hope. And let me say this. I was the biggest Leviathan fan when the roster was announced. I thought there's no way these guys are going to lose ever again. They're going to win every single major. But it hasn't been that. And I think there are still a lot of comm issues and chemistry issues that are still there.
Are we losing a little bit of faith in Sentinels then?
Nope.
You know?
Nope.
Don't think so? This isn't a
They had a really quick
indicator?
turnaround from Masters. They haven't really had time to rework any of this stuff. They come back in. They play Leviathan. Aspas fucking he had 50 kills. He had 50 kills. And Lev is a good team. Like Lev, they had a terrible
fuel to the
week one,
fire.
but they're a solid team. Aspas had like literally a once in a lifetime performance.
Yeah.
And they lost,
okay,
and they still almost won,
Just a
My
one-off
opinion
then
does
for
not
Sam.
change one iota about Sentinels.
Okay. I think that's reasonable. Just wanted to bring it up. I think that's very reasonable. I think we can move on.
Let's do it.
I
Real
think we can move on.
quick, can we shout out Leviathan for being entertaining this year? Holy shit, that team was so boring.
Dude, that
to
team
watch
was
all
so
last
boring.
year. I hated
that's
watching
true, yeah.
Leviathan games. They're so boring. Now they're
were
at
very
very
boring.
least they're fun again. Shout out to Leviathan for being
Yep.
fun.
Yeah, also
Shout out-
King deserves gas. And I feel like he got plenty of gas last year because he was the one bright spot while Taco was, I don't know what he was doing. And the rest of the team really wasn't putting it together. But King isn't dropping 48 or whatever, but he's been fragging alongside Aspas every single map while IGLing, while dealing with calling in a different language, while dealing with the mixed roster and all of that stuff. King's the truth, man.
Yeah, it's always been impressive. I mean, the guy is just super consistent. And honestly, for Lev, they might have done enough with that one. Like we were talking about their upcoming matches, they've got NRG next. It looks unlikely that they would win that based on how NRG's form is. But G2 and Crew, very, very winnable matches. And speaking of Crew, battled the LATAM teams. I'm not going to be talking about it just yet. It's the end of the week. But the year is 2024. Crew are 2-0. What's happening next? What's going to happen next? Josh isn't here to make a ludicrous statement and bet a house on the line or something, but Crew are currently 2-0 and up. They've had arguably an easier time of things this time around in terms of their first few matches. They played against Furia, they played against MIBR, and I think Furia currently looking like one of the weakest teams that we've got in Americas. Fair enough.
Weakest.
Yep,
Yeah,
the weakest.
not
MIBR
even-
were
yeah.
giga lost in their upcoming match. The Crew were playing. The cNed go kill strat worked wonders, I have to say. cNed running it down, just taking fights, was fantastic. Where is the ceiling for this Crew team? Where do we see them landing? Because at some point, the sky has to be the limit for this team. They played against some of the weaker opponents right now in Americas. Where do you see this team landing? What's the ceiling, Mimi?
I hate to be the one to tell you guys this, but they're making playoffs.
They're making playoffs in the
They're
group
making
with
playoffs.
NRG, Sentinels, and Cloud9.
Yes, they're making playoffs.
Over who? Cloud9.
Yes.
Okay.
I don't know why,
Ooh,
but it's
you don't
happening.
know why?
They
You don't know
play.
how?
They play EG. They beat EG. Then they have
Yeah.
Loud, 100 Thieves, Leviathan. I don't know which one they win, but I just know in a vision one of those is an upset.
Okay.
Honestly, I wouldn't be shocked if I wouldn't be shocked if they made it in. Crew feel like the gatekeepers for me. And I know that it might be a little bit early to say that, but I'm getting like Exet 2 years ago vibes. Where if you want
No.
to be considered in the conversation, hang on. If you want to be considered in the conversation, you have to be able to beat them, right? There's something about the additional
Exit was
firepower.
the second best team in the region.
Sorry, not 2 years ago, 3 years ago, when they were like the gatekeepers. Where
Okay,
you-
like
you
when they were
weren't-
like perma 5th, 6th.
Yes. Sorry.
Okay.
Not 2 years ago, 3 years ago. Heat has added a lot to this team. The fact that cNed doesn't have to do it all on his own has been huge for Crew. My concern, though, is when when whatever rumors of like internal drama and whatever was going on with Heat last year, if and when those come up again, what happens to the team? Because I think right now things are fun. They're playing bad teams. Heat's everybody's fragging. They're making history. They're winning games. They've never done that before. But I wonder when that will fall apart. And I think that's really where things will be decided. I could see them being the reason that Leviathan don't win their last match of the stage. I could totally see that happening because of how, kind of wishy-washy Leviathan are, and because it seems like Crew are playing with a honeymoon confidence that we haven't seen before. I think the other thing we need to remember for the way the stage works out is that it can be a 5-week honeymoon, and that's okay. Like it's not a super long, it's not a long stage. Yeah,
that's a long honeymoon.
That's very expensive. But it's a short stage, right? You can ride this high and surprise people and knock out teams you probably shouldn't be knocking out, all things considered, and get away with something silly. And I can totally see Crew doing that.
What are the original rumors? Why was he kicked from MIBR?
Because they weren't winning, I think.
No, so the rumor is that he had a very different idea of how he wanted to play the game than the coaching staff, and like he wanted to go like hyper aggressive. They were like trying to like put in like we must be like a smarter, better team, and apparently that caused some internal conflicts, and led allegedly to his separation from the team. This is all just kind of like cloudy rumors, so I don't want to like say anything is necessarily true. Say that like they hate each other or something, because we honestly don't know, but that's what whispers have said.
I don't think you'll see a similar scenario with that. I think because they're winning, that's the biggest thing. Like if MIBR was winning early on with Heat on the roster, I don't think we would have been seeing the same breakdown if the style was working for them. But this time around, they are actually winning, and they've got very winnable games upcoming. This team's not one and done. They're not doing anything that's not replicatable. What they've got is just a very basic fundamental idea of how they want to work most maps on attack side, and they've got players that can really shoot, and they play off each other really well, and that is a recipe for success. It's nothing it's not flashy. It's not gonna fucking light your world on fire when you're watching them play, but I think they've got a good case to be making playoffs. I definitely think you're onto something there, but they've got a very difficult group to try and make it through if they are going to be doing that.
I enjoyed watching the MIBR game because you could tell how much he wanted it, man. He wanted it so bad. It was such a point to prove. He was just clutching out so many rounds. I don't know, man. Sometimes when you get like kicked or removed from a team, it really just lights a fire on you, and you kind of become like a different beast. So I'm a little bit excited for this team. It's one of those. The Crew is like that team, at least in Americas. They like sometimes you're expected to beat, but at the same time, you're just like, oh man, if they actually play to their full potential, like you just know that they can really bring it to you. So yeah, I'm excited. I think the thing is that C9 won against Lev. That's why that's the only reason I'm like, well, C9 should be winning their group, and maybe they come fourth. So yeah, maybe we see their like full potential in the second split. But yeah, we'll see. I got high hopes for this team. Everything seems to work. Everything seems to be there. It looks smart, and the fragging is just through the roof. I really think like he coming in has just made a lot of sense for this team, and that was like my main concern, because it's like he's coming in and what role is he playing? His guy's never even played an initiator before in theory in an official match. He just looks unreal with it. Even like the supportive flashes and stuff like that.
Especially after watching Havoc, other teams trying to do similar stuff and putting in a big guy who was like. A lot of people were singing the praises of Havoc heading in, a lot of hype behind him, and he's just
until he
struggling to have that impact.
He started his first game like 0-11,
yeah.
a proper nightmare.
Yeah, it's pretty horrific. But yeah, Crew look good. They should be set on a path as well to do quite well. Don't know if they make playoffs. They do have a difficult group, but I like the hot take that Mimi threw out. I like that somebody listen. Throw them out there. Just that's what we're all about here at Plat LLC. Reactive takes, hot takes.
In my yearly performance review, that one's coming up.
Yeah,
Matt Mr. X is going to be loving it.
You'll be getting a bonus for that one. That's a good one. Let's talk the current top team in America, in my eyes, maybe your eyes as well.
In America.
NRG, in the Americas. NRG continuing that redemption arc. And how far will they take it as a team? Right now, I think that they have got so much going for them. They even said, I think it was Crashies, right, in the post-match interview after their most recent game, they said after that Sen loss, they had just been scrimming every single day, to the point where people are coming into my chat being like, can you tell Demon 1 to stop scrimming so he plays ranked again and streams it? Because he's played like 8 games of ranked since they lost. He just hasn't been playing ranked. They've only been scrimming. This team has been nose to the grindstone. They have just been working hard, nonstop. And I think it's been showing. I mean, Breeze was a little bit sloppy in the most recent game, not going to lie. Like against Furia, it was a little bit sloppy. It was like they just knew they were going to win and stuff was getting slipping through the cracks. But it was a fundamental dismantling on map 1 of Split. Again, it's Furia is like the worst team in Americas right now. I would argue. I think that's, you can't really dispute that. Currently, where we're standing of what we've seen. And the question is just, when are they next going to get tested? How far can they go? They've got Lev coming up in their matches. Now, I think we've all kind of subtly agreed that Lev are probably going to lose that.
Yep.
Probably.
Right.
Well, we haven't. We're going to predict that. We're going to
but
predict that.
maybe.
We're not going to talk about that yet. We're not going to talk about that yet.
But the rest of the matches look also pretty much slam dunk. I mean, MIBR, Evil Geniuses, EG need way more time to get going.
Yeah, we're not going to
MIBR
predict that, but also NRG has a flawless season here. Like, they're winning every
And-
game in Stage 1 groups.
So it's
We're not
11
gonna
100
predict
Thieves are the two major
Yes.
ones.
Yeah, and then they're going to win one match in playoffs, and they're going to go to Shanghai, and they're going to be a top 4 team at Shanghai.
It's predicted. It's set in stone. It's done here. Is there nothing that's going to trip them up? Nothing at all? Not even in playoffs?
I don't think so, man.
Yeah.
I am such a
You have to
big,
win one match to make it.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
they're chilling.
I'm such a big believer in the way the roster was built, the fact that they added so many supporting pieces to Ethan so that he can feel much more comfortable calling in his first like truly just calling by himself role. I love Chet and the system that he's built. I love even this comp that they ran on Split. You know, we were talking about it over the weekend. His comp is from like 2 years ago. It's such an old comp, but honestly, they have the pieces to execute it and do it
Dude,
well.
this was Optic-esque.
Yeah, dude,
I love
this, like,
Victor getting flung in with a bit of supportive util and then Demon One mopping up afterwards, taking all the space.
Yeah,
I loved what I was seeing here.
And I think because you have those tools, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You don't have to do anything crazy. You've got so many of these pieces that are going to thrive in these scenarios. And yeah, I agree with you. It felt like there were moments where they were just kind of like almost sleepwalking through some rounds because they knew it was Furia and they knew they were going to roll them no matter what.
I mean, you saw them like on stage a lot. Like, they were vibing.
Yeah, they were chilling. They were chilling. They had a good time. But I don't really know who can really stand up against them. I think especially because it's playing against the cross group, whatever, Alpha's playing Omega, whatever. I don't know how to make that sentence. I'm tired. My words are not working. I think they get away with a lot. They don't have to play Sentinels, right?
What if they
Throughout
play
the season
Sentinels,
and-
though? They might have to play Sentinels in the playoffs.
In
Close
playoffs
game
or something?
Close
Yeah,
game,
but-
50-50.
So it's not a straight shot to Shanghai.
No,
Well, I
but
guess it depends on
we
who
don't
their
know who
draw
they're
is.
playing. We don't know who. They
Yeah.
have to win one match. I think they might lose against Sentinels, but who are the other contenders? Lev, 100 Thieves, maybe C9, Loud. I think they beat those teams.
Yeah.
Maybe Loud's an argument. I mean, we only saw them week 1.
Loud,
I think we don't know a lot about like how good Loud is going to be in the season yet, because they played. I mean, they got fucking rolled their first week because not by anything, but just by like
They were stuck in Ireland.
sometimes
Right,
you
yeah.
just get
Yeah.
America
Yeah.
visa processed, and then you can't
Yes.
scrim, and you're fucking exhausted, and you have to play a game, and that sucks.
Uh-huh.
They have 4 more games to play, and they could be insane. We don't really know, but I think saying that NRG is going, I think it's a guarantee that NRG makes Shanghai. I think it is
Okay. I agree.
absolute shock and awe if they don't make it.
All right.
I
Well,
agree.
Yeah. I
Like
think they
a
haven't been
flag at
tested
half
yet as
mast
well.
kind of shit.
Yeah, I would feel more confident once I see like an actual proper test, because I don't think they have been tested. But in terms
Sure.
of like what we've just seen so far, like the split was just so nice. Like most people are like, oh, in terms of like calling, how is this team gonna look? Bro, they just called it like a perfect game. Mid rounding was unbelievable. Predicting what they were gonna do next was unbelievable. Like you're just seeing Demon One bring out an op when they know they're about to push A, because like they've just been taking A control and they're running out of ideas. Like everything was just so perfect from them. Like as a mini map watcher, I was just like, man, this is like old school NRG. Like when FNS was there, it just like this, it looked exactly like it. So I'm all the signs are there of just like a like really, really strong team that can win a big tournament, and that's pretty much what they were made for. So it's cool to see that their early signs at least living up to the expectations of what they were made to do.
okay. Well, team that was promised. Time to move on, I think, to the week 3 America's match predictions.
Wait. I just want to say before we go, for me at least with NRG, I am not bigging up this team because they beat Furia. This game doesn't push the needle for me that much. They looked good in it. They dismantled them. That was it. But I was already feeling this way after Loud. It's just like the energy's there, and this was reinforcement, not the argument.
Stick to the guns. Stick to the guns. They look good.
Got a lot of those.
And in Mimi's own words, they're guaranteed to make Shanghai no matter what. No matter what, they are guaranteed to make Shanghai. Definitely not setting up anything in the air whatsoever here. Let's go to the Americas Week 3 predictions. We've been going for almost 3 hours and none of us have slept. So let's get this one started. Cloud9 versus Loud is our first match here of the Americas Week 3 match predictions. It's a super week in Americas too. So there's a lot of games here. We've only picked out 4. We'll see how they go.
Oh no.
What the
This
fuck
is not
is
oh no.
going
Nope,
on?
this is not oh no.
It
Jimmy,
shouldn't be
you
oh
think
no,
this is a
but
guarantee?
that's the thing is that when you guys do this, there's dark magic that
Yeah,
gets
that's
put
what I'm
out into the
saying.
world. So
I mean-
we look at it and go, this is fine, whatever. Our
No,
brain,
this is fine.
it doesn't matter.
No,
The
this is fine.
juju messes everything up.
I've been hurt.
Brennan, what did you call Cloud9?
The muddy team, the oiled up
The
team.
muddy team, the oily men.
They're going
Oil
to wrestle, they're going to
barons.
wrangle, they're going to pull you into the quagmire. Yeah,
Let me tell you what Loud is. They have been wrangling oily men for years. They are the most experienced oily men wranglers in the world. Sudak is going to grab Cloud9. They're going to be squirming around oiled up. They can't fucking slip out.
Okay. You
That's
are
my
so
analysis.
confident in this
Okay,
match. You are
nice.
so confident in this. I think that we didn't see the best Loud, obviously. They were stuck in Ireland and they didn't get any time to prep.
Bad
Is a
news
week
for anyone.
enough, really, of a turnaround to take it to a team like that? I think it might get sloppy. I think it might get a bit messy. I don't think this is a guarantee. I don't think it's a guarantee. I think if Loud had perfect optimal conditions, they were well rested, they could iterate on what they showed at Madrid. Maybe, yeah. I think there's an argument to be made, but I still think that they should be favorites in this match, right? They should be after what we
Yeah.
saw in week 1. Would you guys agree with that?
They do also play 2 matches this week. They have to prep for Crew and
But
Cloud9.
everyone does, right?
I think so. Yeah.
I think so.
Everyone
I think it's
except for
just
100 Thieves, I
scheduling.
think.
They
Yeah.
went for 100 fees.
Nice.
Oh, okay. I mean, they didn't have to play this week. They got like 10 days or so to change their Ascent and Lotus. That's the only thing that needs to be changed. That's easy. They should be fine.
Okay.
If I don't see those changes, I would love to go back to this moment and switch. But dude, the changes are coming. It's a different comp on Ascent and Lotus, and that should be. I do for C9 coming up against something new as well. That'd be hard. So yeah,
Okay.
all right.
Yeah, me personally, I pledge full allegiance to the United States of Sadak. I have full faith in this team and what they're going to be able to put together. I'm not worried about them at all. I'm fully convinced, much like NRG, that they are going to Shanghai. QCK doesn't have to be what aspas was. I think they're going to be fine. Full faith. I think they
Okay.
roll.
All right, it's locked in across the board. Let's move on to the next one then. Crew versus Evil Geniuses is the other match we're going to be prepping this week. And
Here it
this
comes.
one,
I can feel this one coming.
Dude, I'm
What?
still,
No.
I'm
Okay,
still
okay.
holding on to faith, man. I'm still holding on to faith. I'm the only one to any audio listeners that has gone for EG in this matchup, which you'd think, right? You'd think that it should be a guarantee for Crew, but I can't doubt EG. I think they have a major problem, which is starting slow in maps, starting slow in half, starting slow in maps. And I just need to, I saw glimpses of it. I saw glimpses of brilliance from Jorgamo. Saw glimpses of brilliance from the team. I know the potential's there. I'm just waiting for the right time for it to come online. And I think stylistically, Crew are quite a fundamentally easy team to get a handle on, get a read on the way that they play. They don't do anything complicated. Their attack side calling tends to be by the book. cNed gets set up to succeed and he takes fights. And then they have maybe somebody lurking on the other side of the map. That's it. I think EG have a prep diff here. They should be
Is
able to get a
that
read
it?
on this one.
I feel like Crew showed some more depth in their games. I think there are maps like when cNed plays Jett. I think that's absolutely the case. But I think I forget what Raze map they were playing against MIBR. It was their Sunset where I felt like they had a lot more variety to that one. They were playing kind of this like the Breach Gecko comp, which is kind of unique and interesting, but I think they had some interesting ideas to fight space off of it and set cNed up. He wasn't lurking in the same way he was. I think this is a Crew that's kind of breaking that mold a little bit. They still have that core identity, but I feel like this is a team where you can't write them off as like the same story as previous.
Yeah, I would listen. I would love to believe, because I think EG is one of the most, that roster, they're some of the most like easiest people to root for. I want to root for them, but respectfully, who is going to fire back against that duo of cNed and Heat? I don't think there's the firepower
It would be
matched.
Jojima. It would be Jojima.
I think they've shown. I
By
think they've shown the
himself?
firepower though.
Actually,
Apoth
Nature's
was
been
really
very
good in their
Nature's
last
been
match.
very, very
Apoth
good.
had a bad. He had some bad showings, right? In the
Yeah,
His
last.
like,
last
he
match?
forces it
No,
too
he was
much.
good in his last match. His
Do you think?
lurks
I-
map 1 were like really incredible.
Yeah,
He was
think
super
he
impactful.
forced- He forces a lot. It's really hit or miss with him.
Sure.
Like sometimes he forces the issue too much, and they lose rounds because of it. Like a 50-50.
Yeah.
I will say the consistency has been nature, in my opinion. Like he's looked good both weeks, while the team has kind of struggled. So maybe there's something to be said there, but I do think there's a lot more depth to crew than probably meets the eye. But then also this cNed Heat duo, they're insane. They're insane. They're a lot
Yeah.
to deal with together.
I was also like kind of disappointed in EG in that match strategically on split. Besides, I mean, you can just look at them getting rolled by Oxy not trading out. That's obviously like that happened. But I feel like they're constantly throwing this like on their split. They were always throwing the B wall, the B utility on their attack side with the Viper. And then the way they were trying to play A was putting down double cages and then having like a double lurk on that side of the map where they're walking up. And just like I'm convinced like 9 rounds in a row, they go for that setup. Cloud9 is there, wait for the cage to drop. Zeppa pop flashes through, they get dominated. They were so slow to like adapt and come up with a new idea on that split map and just got utterly outclassed. And for me, in the past, that's always been the thing I can rely on for EG, right? Like Potter calls that timeout. They have a good adaptation. They have a good new idea. But I felt like even that was lacking in certain times in this matchup, which was really pretty disappointing to me for someone who really wants to be able to kind of cope for EG. And on the other hand, Crew has just looked obviously not the greatest of opponents, but have looked really clean in their first few matches. I don't think EG's in great form. I think Crew's players have ridiculous firepower right now. I think they have good ideas. Crewmers rise up. It's fucking happening. They're making playoffs. It's done. It's a sealed fate.
Do you know what? I actually feel less confident after hearing that. Yeah, I do. I'm just thinking, have they actually been truly tested? And then some of the plays they make a lot is like flash popping through smokes, which is how a lot of tier 2 NA stuff used to be played back in the day, and that's where most of the players come from. I don't know, man. The more I think about it, I'm actually thinking that EG have a pretty good shot, because Crew do look great. Don't get me wrong, but again, have they actually been truly tested?
Well, let me ask you this though: do you think EG are the team to test them? Because you make a compelling argument. Yeah, not many teams have pushed it. They've played bottom feeders, right? But is EG really the team to test them?
I feel like this is like the mid-off, and Crew is in better form right now.
Less mid.
Yeah,
I think that's fair. Yeah, and I think that's kind of why I've gone for them. But I can see EG winning this.
Sure. No, I don't think it's unreasonable. I think this is not a Crew stop in my book, but this is a Crew win.
All right, we'll stand by these Preds then. Let's move on to the next one. NRG versus Leviathan. And this is our match of the week that we've got for Americas. This is going to be a good one.
Oh, no.
Oh, maybe
Surely we
we was ready
won't
for it. I thought that there was a chance.
Nope.
I thought there was a chance. We've all gone NRG, 20 audio listeners. I'm trying to be good about that. Trying to consider the people who might be watching in their car so they don't just accidentally cause an
Well, I
accident.
hope they're
by
not
looking at
watching
me.
in their car.
Well, listening in their car. This one, it should be an NRG win, right? Should be. I mean, we just sung the praises of NRG for like an entire segment for like 15 minutes. And we even talked about this upcoming match, and we were all like aligned with the.
Yeah,
with the fact that
we've
NRG
been
should be
glazing the
winning it.
shit out of this team.
Yeah. Is there anything more that needs to be said here?
I just want to see Lev's other maps. Like, I think like some of the other maps haven't filled me with confidence, and they're the kind of ones that I think NRG like map veto should be better for them. And I mean, this can be NRG's first big test as well, so it'll be fun.
Yeah.
It should be a banging game. Like, it really should. I hope it lives up to it. There's a chance it could be a little bit of a stomp, but at least Lev got the win last week for the actual confidence.
Yeah, the team is not on the verge of imploding. Should be a good one. Let's do the final pred that we're going to do. There's a lot of matches in Americas, but this is the last one that we're going to be publicly predding. which is Crew versus Loud. And we get to revisit Crew again. Okay.
Double.
So this is...
When I said Crewmers rise up, not this time.
We've all gone Loud.
Not this time.
Audio listeners, we've all gone Loud in case it wasn't obvious yet. So this is going to be the real test of Crew then. We think Loud, rested, rejuvenated, moisturized. They're in their lane after the horrible trip in Belfast that they had where they were just stuck there. And yeah, I mean, there's so many ways that Loud could be winning this one. I think that they should be able to match them in terms of firepower. They should be able to match them in terms of calling and ideas. And I think they're going to be putting a real test here for Crew to try and dismantle some of the crazy stuff that Loud like to do with some of their comps. Yeah, it looks like it should be a clean win for Loud, right? There's any doubt creeping in.
Not
No.
too much.
No, I don't think so. This feels like the series that firmly cements Crew is like in the middle. This is where we learned who Crew is, right?
Okay.
This is where they're kind of like grounded a little bit, and this is where they're tested.
All right.
Yeah,
Can't wait for
as
this
long
one to go wrong.
as long as Loud actually change some of their comps, I'm on board. Otherwise, again, I wish I would have gone for Crew. But as long as the Sentinel Lotus has changed, where it's so fine.
Okay. All right. Excellent stuff. We're all in agreement then. Definitely won't go wrong again. Let's move on to the final segment, the most important segment of the week. It's been a long episode. We're all tired. We're all worn out. But one last segment to close us out. It's Wyatt's Weekly Award. I have no idea what it's going to be.
Wyatt is a gift.
Go!
My goodness, I love this man.
Wyatt's Weekly Award. I
You
have no
one,
idea.
Brad?
Haven't thought about it. Really.
I have one if
Yeah,
you
I have
don't.
a prediction.
Yeah,
as well.
I'll take some nominations.
Okay,
Amy?
my nomination is the one and only Curtis Russ. He's working full time on
Yep.
VCT Americas,
Mhm.
doing all the stuff there, doing the live producing stuff, and also like working with the team there to prep everything. And then also is the guy who preps most of the Plat chat stuff
Yep.
and like builds all these run of shows, sources guests when we have like 19 an episode. Most of us are traveling back and forth for Americas and like don't actually have time to write out what we want to talk about. He just does that, pops off, and is just basically working 24/7 and is still the GOAT while doing it. That's my pitch.
I
Doug,
agree.
nomination?
Pick me.
Nomination?
Yeah, mine is not nearly as well thought out. I just thought it might be Vansili because he hit that 360.
Oh, the 360
Oh,
was
that's
that was
right.
actually
That
really
was
nice.
pretty
Yeah.
good.
That was big.
Stuck
Dude.
the landing well too, mid call, right?
Yeah.
Like while
True.
he's yelling and doing his Bruce Banner. That's my thought.
Vance's
I want to find
announcements,
that
like
clip.
when he's
Let me
introing the
find
teams.
it. Let me find
Can we
it.
pull that out?
was off.
It was really extra. It was fast map, right?
Dude.
No, just fast walkout. Yes,
Dude,
yesterday.
At the closing desk, they have Shaz. On the desk, we're doing our like post show or whatever, and GB just like bullies him into agreeing that all four of them are gonna spin jump to close out the show, and you could see the existential dread on Shazam's face where he goes, "I don't have a choice. I'm gonna have to do this too."
Did he do it?
Cool. Yeah,
He did it?
Wait,
it was
watch
so
this.
good.
3,
That's-
2, 1.
Dude, Vance's intros are so good. His intros are so good. I was losing it. I was
I
absolutely
respect it
losing
so
it.
much.
It's so good.
Your
okay.
decision,
Sliggy,
Brent.
any nominations?
I was going to say aspas for the game. That's
Oh.
kind of all I got.
Honestly,
This is-
I think Aspas overtakes both of us. To be honest, he did
Yeah,
pretty good.
Listen, I don't shy away from a good old Plat Chat Nepo nominee. You know what I mean? Like a good old nepotism award. We've handed out a few of them. I mean, Kurt, definitely, you deserve credit. You pop off.
I think
didn't have an
I
excuse.
really appreciate you shouting that out, Mimi, because I don't want to be the one that's like complaining, like I'm doing all this work, but I feel heard. I feel acknowledged.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
the
I
don't
the
need
viewers
the award,
complaining
but I
about their
feel
free
heard.
content, he's probably not going to win the award this week. But say thank you, Canardus, in the chat.
Yeah. Thank you,
Shout out
Canardus.
Kurt.
And also
Thank you.
become a
Canardus.
member.
Yeah, please
Yeah, and
become
also,
a
yeah,
member.
give us
Also
money.
please give us money. Please
Give us some
please.
money too. Okay. Out of all of these, I guess I get to say in terms of who wins it. I think these are all good nominees, but only one can win the Wyatt's Weekly Award, and we are going to give it to Aspas. I think Aspas is the most deserving player for almost dropping 50 kills in a map to bring his team over the line against the Madrid winners, and in fact, he did bring them over the line against the Madrid winners, and they ended up closing that one out. That was an insane performance by aspas, and for some reason he's just he's keeping it up with consistency. Almost every map he's putting up 30 kills, it feels like, which is just, it's ludicrous. It's ludicrous. But he's going to win the Wyatt Weekly Award. Special shout out and nominee, of course, to Van Silly and Curtis. We love a good Nepo Award winner, but not today. It's going to go to aspas.
Beating the nepotism allegations.
Yeah, we're beating it once more. Thank you for watching, everybody. And also, thank you for joining us. Doug, Sliggy, Mimi, thank you, everybody. I know we're all tired. We're all sleep deprived. We're all getting off flights. We just watched 50,000 hours of Valorant. And guess what? There's even more to watch this week because it's a super week. It doesn't
Next
stop.
week will be better.
Yeah, it's not stopping. The train isn't stopping.
Okay, just to shout this out, we might not do an episode, but if we do, it'll be on Wednesday after the EMEA games conclude. That is the.
It's going to be
target
hard
point.
to do an episode.
That's my day off. That's my only day off next week. So
it's the America Super Week. Most of us are going to be working in some capacity. We could do a solo episode or just Sliggy and TMV. You guys have watched the games. We'll just do do a duo episode. No.
I'm down. Can he host?
Anyway. Chat.
I can't host. Can he host? I've not done that yet.
We're struggling to find a host. Anyway, thank you for joining us, guys. Thank you for putting the show together as well, Kurt. And that's episode 174. We'll see you maybe next week, maybe not, but we'll definitely see you at some point in the near future. So bye bye, everybody. Thanks for watching.